How's it, everyone? I guess a therapy session will be in order tonight. So, should be a good one. I haven't really chatted with these guys since the fallout from yesterday. So, it's going to be interesting to say the least to see what everybody has to say. Ryan will be with us momentarily, any moment now. I've got Stan with me as well. Glenn will be joining in about 10 to 15 minutes. Rowan is taking care of some school things, so he will not be joining us tonight. And I believe Gary is with the missus.
I thought Rohan was working on the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. I thought he was involved in that.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna bite my tongue. I'm gonna bite my tongue on that one. But so yeah. So bottom line, let me play the intro because it's more professional that way. Yeah, just more professional that way. So, Stan, it's you and me for now. So, how are you, my friend? Good.
I'm good. Shout out to those that I see a few that are already in the chat box. Raul, BX, Daniel Shaw, our member, and a name that I don't recognise, Bad Boy. Thank you all for coming in. And there's so much I think we've got to unpack tonight.
There is definitely a lot
when it comes to unpack.
Yeah. You know what, man? I had an idea, and I didn't really run it by you, but I think what I'm going to do. And you're here, so
does it involve nudity?
It does not. No one wants to. No one wants to see this mudslide, man.
Good. Continue.
But I think I'm just going to let you guys have the floor for a few minutes, and just what are your thoughts after what we've just witnessed the past couple of days here? And then the last 5 days. So the floor is yours, and take as much time as you want.
It was something you and I had been talking about, which we felt had been a positive thing with Arsenal lately, is that we were both feeling, if I remember rightly, that it looks like that we're starting to win the points from games that we should be winning.
Mm-hmm.
We had this thing where it was like, it's no good going up against some of the big boys and holding your own, and then you go away to Brighton or a Burnley or a West Bromwich Albion and you lose those valuable points. And then when you get to the end of the season and you're 1 or 2 points away from where you wanted to be, whether it means some form of European qualification, you look back at those games and fuck that. If only we hadn't missed that sitter. If only we hadn't missed that penalty, if only we hadn't shown up for that game, we'd be where we wanted to be. And that run that we had of 10 games, I was starting to believe that we were starting to sort that out. We take care of the points that we need to be winning. Once we get that right, then we can start to look at how we can be competitive against the big boys. But at the last 2 games, those last 2 games for me, I felt that we should have been able to have 4 points from those games.
Yeah,
at least 4 points.
Yep.
Because if you look at the Man United game, yeah, maybe if you look at it on paper and in theory, you'd think that, well, we're going to Old Trafford. The team has a lot more experience than we do, and there are some very good players in that side, but they were ready for the taking.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? There's been, you look at the last couple of seasons, Arsenal were that team where if a team was struggling and was struggling to pick up points and they saw that Arsenal were coming up on the fixture, they'd rub their hands together because we were there for the taking. And I think that Manchester United were there for the taking. And even at 2-2, we could have maybe got something out of the game, but we didn't. And then bouncing back against Everton, we think, okay, well, let's dust ourselves down and bounce back from that. Again, another team which is there for the taking, who's kind of like in disarray, we just go and throw that away as well. We've just gone and thrown it away. And I mean, I don't know if it's at the stage where you look at players individually or collectively. And I know that there's been one of the biggest criticisms of late about Arsenal is that, we start in games really well in the first 10 to 20 minutes or so, and then we stop playing, especially if we nick a goal or we go ahead. And a lot of people are saying that, well, the tactics are all wrong. But you've heard Mikel Arteta say, well, I've heard him say that that's not the plan. He isn't telling his players to do that. And in the last game against Everton, you could see him that he was waving his players forward. So what's the deal then? It sounds to me that the players, they're carrying out his tactics for the first 20 minutes, and then they're going within themselves, and it doesn't appear to me that there is any leadership on the pitch to take the players through that. You know, there's a lot of players that we're supposed to be relying on that just aren't playing the game anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm at a loss. I still, I'm not going to throw my toys out of the pram and say that, you know, Mikel has to go immediately, because I think there's maybe a little bit more work to be done. But he's not absolved at all, because he made some terrible decisions in this game. And I'm hopping all over the place a little bit. But I mean, when I woke up in the morning and I got up my phone to look at what the lineup was, usually the one that I see is they have the names down one side, and then next to it, they choose a player to have their player picture. When I opened it up and saw Xhaka's picture, I thought the website had fucked up when they were showing like a lineup from months ago. I was like, what's going on? You know, this is because there was no word that he was coming back. It's almost like when you see people getting rushed into court with a blanket over their head. He must have been rushed into the ground like that, you know. They kept that well under wraps, and there he was, walking straight back into the team like it was like nothing had ever happened. So if you look at it there, you've got 3 players now that you're thinking, well, Lacazette can't last a full game. We've got a player coming back in Granit Xhaka who is just coming back without any warm-up games. How long is he going to last?
Mm-hmm.
And what's happening with Kieran Tierney? Is he fit or not?
Yeah.
He hasn't had I know he's been training, but I mean, what's happening there? And then he got taken off. Did he get taken off because that was a change of plan, or did he get taken off because he's unfit and he couldn't go on any further? So if that's the case, and you're fielding 3 players that you're unsure are going to be able to finish the end and get to the end, then you've kind of determined where your substitutions are going to be, and that doesn't leave you any room to manoeuvre when something happens, like Martinelli having to be taken off. And you've already brought on Nuno Tavares, who could have been someone that could have come on for Martinelli and played in that position. So there's a lot of questions for me of some of the in-game management, but I do think that I can't just put the blame at the manager, and I can't just put the blame at the players. I think collectively they all have to take part in looking within themselves and finding out what the problem is here. Because once they go out onto the pitch, the players have to take a lot of responsibility. And I think the answer here is that for whatever reason, is that the tactics go out the window after the first 15 to 20 minutes, and something else starts to happen on the pitch. And for whatever reason, with Mikel Arteta standing on the sidelines, gesticulating and shouting, he's not able to snap them back into what the plan is, which is worrying. Mm. So, as you can hear, I'm disappointed. I'm confused more than anything. The confusion of how we've just thrown away that 10-game run, which, don't get me wrong, there were problems in that 10. I wasn't sitting back with my arms folded and thinking problem solved, because we were getting all of our goals from around the edges. We wasn't getting anything from that decisive, the front player who's supposed to be making up the bounty of the goals, whether it's Lacazette, Eddie Nketiah, Balogun, or Aubameyang. Because it seems whoever we seem to field in that position seems to be obsolete. Yeah. That's a completely different argument to not putting the chances away when they come. But the chances are too near and far between anyway. They're not putting them away when they come. And we've basically got strikers that are playing as midfielders.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a little bit how I'm feeling. I don't know if anyone else wants to come in, Ryan.
Well, I'm gonna give Ryan. Yourself? I don't know if you heard what I said. First of all, how are you? Good to have you along.
So,
looking very astute with the specs on tonight. But I basically I said at the beginning that I was going to give you guys basically just an opportunity.
Yeah, no, I was here.
I don't know if you heard what I said. So, Stan has had his say. I'll turn it over to you now.
Well, So funny. So my beer of the week, I bought this beer a month ago, maybe a couple months ago. Now I was like, I really hope I never have to use this because it's not a very positive beer. But I was like, you know what, this is going to be a great beer for a perfect time. And here we are. So my beer of the week is Against the Grain, the Brown Note. And that's a guy shitting himself.
Yikes!
Because we essentially shit ourselves. I noticed too. I've been using a lot of Against the Grain. Gotta go there. But yeah, Against Grain, the Brown Note. He's got toilet paper in his hand. But he still shit himself.
Can I ask you a quick question, Ryan? Because I think it's really cool that you're experimenting with a lot of beers. But are you drinking any of them? You're like, fucking, I ain't buying that one again. Because the other day I went out and I thought, right, I'm going to buy 3 or 4 beers that I've never drunk just to put a bit of variety in the fridge. I ended up pouring 2 of them away because they're just fucking horrible.
No, yeah, I every beer on this show I have never had. And when I go out and I buy a bunch of beers, I like sour beers. I know it's very odd, but I like sour beers. I enjoy them. But I just look for beers that like Brown Note. Like I look for beers that have cool names, very I don't want to say aesthetic because this isn't really pretty, but just good graphics. Because I try to tie them into the games somehow. But yeah, I'm always trying different beers. That's a thing I like to do. But yeah. So yeah, interesting. So you kind of hit upon it a little bit, Stan. So when I saw the lineup for the Everton game, I saw Xhaka and I was like, I thought something was wrong too. I thought maybe he'd made the bench, and they're making a big deal about him making the bench. Then I saw his name. I was like, okay. So you have Granit Xhaka, just came back from an injury. The last game he played was late September. You have Lacazette.
It was the North London derby. It was my birthday, September 26th.
So yeah, you have Lacazette who can't go 90 minutes. We know that. And then you have Tierney coming back from a big injury who can't play 90. So you have 3 players that can't play 90 minutes. And you only have 3 subs. So right there, he's really, his subs. You know who he's taking off, who he's putting on, because those 3 guys just can't go. So I thought it was interesting to really shoehorn those players in. And in particular with Xhaka and Tierney, it's, and people, I see this on different podcasts. I see it on Twitter. We're back to the same old Arsenal as yet. We're the Arsenal of yesterday. We're playing when Arteta first joined. We're playing for when, we were finishing back-to-back 8th place, all that good stuff. And it's hard. You can't really argue that because you have Tierney doing the same thing. You have Xhaka doing the same thing. Did Tierney have a bad game? No, he did. I don't think he had a bad game. I did think they kind of relied on him too much. I think you really try to give him the ball too much, have him, make that dribble past Seamus Coleman and really make a move. But I thought he was all right. I thought there were bigger fish to fry. But yeah, it was very interesting because the gameplay, what we did that got us back-to-back 8th place finishes, it came back against Everton today, which doesn't really make sense because like Stan said, Everton were right for the taking. And to me, a team that's very low on confidence, not sure if the manager's going to be here the next game. To me, what I want, if I'm a manager, and I know people in the chat be like, well, thank God you're not the manager of Arsenal. I want speed. I want athleticism. I want to just run at them and break them down, impose our will, and break their will essentially. And we just played safe passing in our final third, and we just did what we normally did. So I'm sure we'll get more into it. I don't want to completely use all my 20 minutes up. I know Glenn would like that very much, but I'm sure we'll get into it in a more of a forum, more of a, I guess maybe not debate because we may agree on the same stuff, but essentially that was my at least my take in the very beginning of the game.
Welcome, Glenn. You okay?
Yes. Hello, everybody. I'm sorry I'm late. I was working on 2 videos, all Arsenal videos all day. And in between while resting, I was watching World War II documentaries because it's December 7th, and I always do that stuff like that. And I neglected all my.
Glenn, I promise it will not be World War II between me and you. I promise.
And I neglected a lot of stuff around the house, and my wife made me do everything I was supposed to do today. But I have a new video dropping at 2 a.m., 7 a.m. UK time. I hope people can check it out. It's one of 2 videos premiering this week, and I'm very glad to be here, BG. Like that hat. I hate the Patriots, but I like that hat.
Boy, oh boy, they're like fucking herpes, man. They just keep coming back. Just when you thought you'd killed them off, look who the top seed in the AFC is, baby.
I'll comment on that kind of stuff when you get to doing your sports shows for Americans.
They went up to Buffalo last night, looked at the Bills, and said, "Hey boys, rent checks due. Let's go." Where's that rent check?
I don't know if I would go that far.
But what? You wouldn't go that far?
I think Buffalo lost that. I don't know why we're talking about this. I think Buffalo lost that game. I don't think the Patriots outplayed them by any stretch of the imagination. But we're not talking about that.
I'd agree with that. I mean, anyway, Glenn, I let Stan and Ryan basically have the floor for as long as they want. Just
Glenn, you missed my beer.
What is it? Against the grain.
The brown note. The guy shit himself. That's us. We're the guys shitting ourselves. Yeah.
I read the title and liked it till he showed me the picture.
Well, no, Against the Grain's a brewing company. The title of the beer is the brown note.
Okay, that's pretty gross.
So you missed my opening, Glenn.
I missed your what, Stan?
You missed my opening.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure I'll get the gist of it in a second because I'm going to be real quick. Arteta made a lot of mistakes, but if Nketiah, Mr. Get Me Off This Team, puts that sitter in, we don't hear all this whining and the Arteta out people rising like the living dead.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
Well, that's all I got to say. Next.
Good night.
That's it. Show's over. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you later.
No, I want to be brief because I don't know what Stan said. I only caught the end of what Ryan said.
I gave them both ample time. If you've got more on your mind, go for it.
No, that's it, because I don't want to trample on anything. There's a lot to unpack about that game. I don't want to, trample on your question.
That really seems to be the overriding theme. There's a lot to unpack tonight.
It says Phantom Wipe. I don't know why it says Phantom Wipe.
That's
pretty funny.
It's
good. It's good beer. Dark. It's dark, but it's good.
Do you even know what kind of a beer it is?
No, I don't. I saw it, and I'm like, I literally a few months ago, I was shopping, and I was like, fuck, I'm probably gonna have to use this beer at some point, so let's get it. And I have no idea what it is. It's American Brown Ale.
Okay. So it's like so it would be like a Brooklyn Brown. Brooklyn Brown Ale is delicious, man.
So let's we start with the lineups, right? Because I mean, obviously the Xhaka thing is a big one as well. But I was extremely pleased that Mikel Arteta had taken the decision to sit Aubameyang. I think that was justified. It was time for that to happen. So I was pleased about that. And I was also pleased as well that Martinelli was getting a start too.
Well,
and Odegaard. That Odegaard was still, I saw a lot of people saying, oh, why is Odegaard playing after the last game? And I'm thinking, well, you can't have it both ways. When, Tavares fucked up at Liverpool, he was given an opportunity. And everybody seemed to like that. So we're giving Martin Odegaard another opportunity. And even though the game was piss poor, I think he was probably our best player on the day.
He was.
I mean, ESR was also hurt. ESR couldn't play. So kind of had no choice. You had to play Odegaard.
Yeah.
I think the biggest mistake in the starting lineup was Xhaka and Tierney. I was happy to see Tierney, but the problem is Tierney's bombing up the left-hand side, and Xhaka's supposed to drop back for him. You all saw it. Xhaka was gassed at like 60 minutes, and we still relied on him to cover back like that. He should have. One of those two should have not started. Xhaka, I just read before I came on, Xhaka had 2 training sessions, and he left him in there so long. And I'm not defending Xhaka at all. I'm actually criticizing Arteta having both of those guys in there.
Yeah, bringing in a player that's been out for that long and putting him in the midfield against a player that at the moment is arguably are probably one of our worst midfielders at the moment. I mean, the player went on record himself and said that he's playing out of his form is a 4 out of 10.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's coming out of his. It's probably 3 now after that performance. Probably dropped a point. But I mean, I'm surprised that they're the ones that you're going to pick. The player that's telling you, I've got no confidence at the moment, I'm on the floor a bit here, and one that's not played. That's what you're going to go with.
Yeah,
that
but
a bit on the odd choice, and he leaves something maybe like a Lokonga on the bench.
Okay. All right. Let's play. Let me ask you this. Okay. I understand the argument of Partey sitting because he's been terrible. Okay. I understand that. But so you guys would rather start, if assuming Xhaka is starting, you want to throw Lokonga next to Xhaka? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Me personally, I would have, Lokonga, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, or even El Neni. I just think that when a player is having such a torrid time, similar to what Aubameyang is having, you get to a stage where the best thing for them is that they work hard in training, they're on the bench, they get valuable minutes, and in those minutes they try to work their way back into the team. There's only so long you can flog a dead horse. Do you know what I mean? There's only so long that you have to say to another player, look, you're in, because this player is not doing it for me at the moment. So you're going to get your chance. I just think it's a fair thing to do. And I don't think it's really helping either Aubameyang or Thomas Partey to just continually keep playing them. It sends out the wrong message as well about what you have to do to get into the team and what's required.
Can't argue with that. Can't argue with it.
Ryan, you want to jump in anywhere there?
No, I like what Glenn said. I wish Glenn you were here a little earlier. I completely agree with you. I'll probably be harping on this all night, and it's I'm sure we'll get into it. I mean, I'll probably talk about the Man U game eventually too. But when you look at our starting 11, you have Tierney back from injury, Xhaka back from injury, you have Lacazette, he can't go 90. You have 3 players that can't play 90 minutes. Why? Like it just doesn't make sense. You're already telling Everton, these are my 3 subs, and it didn't even happen because Martinelli got hurt. So you have to, and that's why managers have subs. That's why managers tend to have a defender on the bench, a fullback on the bench, a midfielder on the bench, a striker on the bench, a winger on the bench. A goalkeeper on the bench. You have to variety because injuries happen. Tactics change. But when Arteta put out the 11, he essentially said, "Well, Xhaka can't play 90." I know I'm repeating myself, but I'm going to be repeating myself all night because it's and I said this on Gary's show at the Red Cannon, which everyone needs to check out. The Red Cannon. It was a fun time with Matt, Tony, and Gary. But I said this and I was laughing, and then after the show, I kind of cried a little. It's actually impressive how much Mikel Arteta fucked up in this game. It's actually astounding how many mistakes he made. Like you have to really step. You have to like dive into shit to really. I'm astounded at how many mistakes he did. It's actually impressive.
I just want to say one thing. And I know you guys disagree with me because I brought it up as soon as I came on, and you all went, did the clutching of the pearls. And Kedia says he wants to leave because he's not playing, right? Okay, that's fine.
Has he said that? Do we know that for a fact?
Oh, no, I just heard a bunch of people say it.
Is that the reason? What
are you undercutting me?
Why he's leaving? I don't know what. We know he wants to leave. I don't know why. I imagine because he wants to play every week, right?
Okay, so Arteta, we all agree, is a pretty good judge of young players based on that transfer window in the summer. If he gives Nketiah his shot, says, "Here's your shot," all right. Shut up. Everybody that is all these young kids on the team that are starting are because they took their shot when they got it. Here's your shot. All right. I know you guys disagree with this, but I firmly believe it. And Nketiah puts in that header and everybody's happy. Right now, social media is just unbearable.
Wait, Glenn, so you're saying that drawing 2-2 to Everton,
no,
that hasn't won in 8 games, would have made the fan base happy?
It wouldn't have been so apocalyptic. Is that a word? That's what I believe. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
See that as we're touching on the Eddie Nketiah substitution, I think that substitution done loads of different things, and maybe not a lot of them for the good. So there's the first thing that Glenn mentioned, right? You're saying like, okay, let's look at it this way. We want to give Eddie Nketiah a contract, and Eddie Nketiah won't take the contract because he wants more minutes. So there you are. You're that player sat on the bench. I'm never getting any fucking minutes. I fucking hate it here. And all of a sudden you get the nod, lad. Yeah, you get undressed. You're going on, and then you're standing next to him on the touchline. Is going right. Okay. So what I want you to do is right. I want you to go onto the left wing, and then you're like, what? What fucking what? This is what is? I'm a striker. Do you know what I mean? Meanwhile, while he's telling you that, you got Nicolas Pepe looking at Eddie Nketiah coming on and being deployed on the wing. And Eddie Nketiah's Nicolas Pepe's probably thinking, well, that's me out of here then. I might as well start looking for somewhere else to live, another club, right? Because how does that help anybody? Do you know what I mean? And that's it for Nicolas Pepe. He's gone. He's gone. I mean, the other thing as well, if you're going to bring a player on and deploy him on the left, wouldn't the obvious chance, wouldn't the first roll of the dice be Aubameyang? He plays in that position for us quite a lot, right? He's been, whether you like it or not, he has been used in that position and he's been successful, and we need a goal, and he's our most expensive player, and he's our captain. So he's probably put his nose out of joint when he's seen not only is he bringing on Eddie Nketiah, he's bringing him on in that left wing position where I can play and Eddie doesn't play at all. I don't understand what Mikel Arteta, what he was trying to tell his players by making that substitution.
Stan, I totally agree with everything you said, Stan, including bringing Aubameyang in because it was on the wing. But for me, and maybe I'm just on the edge of the cliff, hanging out with my fingernails, trying to make some sense of still being on the fence about Arteta, is that despite Nketiah playing on the wing, he was in the exact right position for that effing header.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that he played shit. He could have got an assist in that game as well because he was the one that passed to Aubameyang who put it wide. He could have had a goal and an assist, but he didn't. The other thing is as well, you've also got Florian Balogun probably sat at home watching it on TV thinking like, why is Eddie coming on? He doesn't even want to be there. I told the club that I wanted to commit myself and I put pen to paper. Why am I sat at home? So it's a very odd substitution that does so many little things, and it just makes me confused. I can't see what Mikel Arteta's thinking is.
And the only logic I see of bringing Nketiah on is what I said earlier. Here's your chance, kid. Here's your chance.
And the last part I would say is as well that, you know, Mikel Arteta said, and I'm harking what Arsblog said on his blog, you know, Mikel Arteta said, well, you know, I like what he's been doing in training, and we all see that he's been working really hard in training. And Arsblog said, what, has he only just started doing that now? That's why he's letting him come. What's he been doing for the rest of the time then when we haven't seen him? So I'm very puzzled by the thinking of the manager. And I know that he's a novice manager, but it's 2 years now. I mean,
he's not a novice anymore.
It looks like a backward step. That's a big backward step, some of the decision making in that game.
And you want to know what's sick? And to be fair, when Eddie came on, I kind of was so puzzled at it. And we all agreed Aubameyang needed to sit. He doesn't need to play, but surely he comes on in front instead of Eddie. But what I will say is, which makes it even sicker and throws me even more into a whirlwind, I thought when Eddie came on, I thought he played really well. I thought he made the right runs. He gave Anthony Gordon a handful. Is that name, Anthony Gordon? He gave him a handful. He gave Seamus Coleman a handful. He was running at them. He was finding pockets of space. He was dribbling. He was playing well. But it's like it's just you're not setting the right precedent for the club. This player is not going to be here. He could play lights out for the rest of the season. I don't think he's going to stay. Arteta could kiss his feet, rub his feet, whatever. You know, it's just sick because no matter what, Eddie could have scored 2 goals. Yes, I would have been happy we got 3 points, but it's just there were so many other mistakes that it's just it makes you question it at the very least. You don't need to be angry because if we did get 3 points, I'm sure people wouldn't have been angry. But there are still things you still have to question with Arteta and his substitutions and his man management.
Yes, see, I just want to tell you guys one more time. I agree with everything you're saying about Arteta screwing up multiple times. I agree with Stan about I wanted Aubameyang instead of Nketiah. I just want to show you where I was coming from. Okay, when Nketiah missed that sitter, that header, I paused the live game. I went outside to get some cold air. There's this big oak table in my backyard. I was so fucking angry he missed that shot. I just lifted it and was going to roll it. It's really heavy. I sprained my fucking elbow so bad because Nketiah missed that goal and I couldn't control my emotions. And I told my wife, Jesus, I think I got to go to the hospital. She's like, oh, shut up, you big baby. Just put a big wrap on it. But it still hurts. So, yeah, I lost my emotions with that Nketiah thing. And that's why I keep bringing it up. Because not only did it hurt, emotionally, it hurt physically. So.
I think man, I don't even know where to start.
You've been pretty quiet, Tanner.
Yeah, you have been.
And you wasn't.
Well, I would have said a lot more, except every time I tried to talk, somebody jumped in.
But you've given us all a lot of space, right? And none of us have really spoken to each other since the game. I did see you on Twitter, and I'm surprised from what I saw your flavor on Twitter about it, that you're as quiet as what you are now. So have you changed in the last 24 hours on reflection?
No. On reflection, you know what I've come to what conclusion I've come to upon reflection, having had now a little over 24 hours to digest all of this and sift through Twitter and sift through different articles that have been written in recap and listening to a few pundits on, be it Talk Sport or hearing, some of the Sky Sports guys. It's everybody, for the most part, now agrees with just about everything I've said for the last year. I'm now seeing everyone use the same words that I've been using for a season. Unsustainable.
Oh, shit.
It's unsustainable. And I said yesterday on Twitter that most supporters will give you the performance doesn't matter, the points matter. That holds true come the end of the year. The last 4 or 5 matches of the year, when you just need points, get the points. It doesn't matter the good, the bad, the ugly. It doesn't matter. Just get the points. That's what matters at the end of the year. But right now, the performance matters, because what the performance is showing is what kind of football are we playing. And the fact is that what we saw yesterday, what we saw at United on Thursday, what we've seen really throughout that 10-game unbeaten stretch, with the exception of Aston Villa, is this is a club, this is a team that simply doesn't know how to score goals. And if you can't score, you don't win. Period. I don't know if they say this stand across the pond, but it's an old American. I think I'll say American because I've never heard it anywhere else. But here, there's an old adage here. Glenn backed me up on this. Ryan, defense wins championships.
Yep.
Well, that's all well and good, but if you can't score, you ain't going to win shit, because you ain't going to win. A draw is 38, but we draw every game at 38 points. We don't finish in the top half of the table on 38 points. It doesn't happen. So we got to figure out how to score. It's unsustainable football. And we've seen this now for a season and a half. It's been a season and a half. I'll give him the pass when he first, Arteta that is, when he first came in. And I'll, everything leading up to the FA Cup, I'll give him that pass, because he was new to the job.
How long was he in before? How long was he in before the FA Cup? How long was his management?
Well, see, it sucks because the FA Cup didn't roll around until really August. So he'd been in place for about 8 months, but we had the stoppage because of COVID in the middle of it.
How many games do you remember? How many games he was in charge of?
I mean, including Europa League and FA Cup, I would guess I'd say maybe in the vicinity of 30. Maybe.
By the time we got to the FA Cup,
I would say, including the FA Cup final, I would say maybe 30. Figure in the league, let's say we got just about halfway through. So let's give them 19 there. And I don't know this exactly. I'm not claiming that this is fact. But I'd say 19 there, another 4 to 6 in Europa League, so that's 24, 26, including FA Cup matches. You're talking probably another 4 there. So yeah, you're right. You're looking at roughly 30.
Okay.
But he came in and he did what any new coach in any sport should do. You come in, you look at what you have, and you say, okay, how do I get the best out of what I have? And he did that. And okay, I get he comes in the next season, right? You don't have a full summer, you don't have a full preseason training program because of COVID. It's everything gets condensed in the off season and the preseason and the beginning of the new season. But I get that as a new manager, he wants to come in and he wants to lift his leg and he wants to piss on the fire hydrant, right? He's marking his territory. He's doing that by 4-3-3. This is the system. Possession football. This is how we're going to play. Come hell or high water, this is how we're going to play. And I get it because he's not that much older than Aubameyang. I mean, he's 39. Aubameyang's 34. So 32. I mean, even, okay. But, I mean, Arteta, to a degree, for crying out, he could still be a player. I mean, he's not so old that it's outside the realm of possibilities that Arteta could still be playing right now. Now, I mean, obviously he's not, but so you come in, you're a new manager.
China.
You've got right. You've got a somewhat young team, but you've got a team full of older guys who've been around the block, and you got to put your foot down. You have to say, this is my team. This is how we're going to do it. So I get it. But at the same time, it's not going to be your team if you don't win, or you're going to lose losing the fan base. I mean, look, we clearly know that they don't give a shit about the fan base, right? They don't care about the supporter. They want to win. They don't care that the supporters are up in arms. It just doesn't matter to them. So, as far as my comments yesterday, I've kind of gotten off the beaten path here, but.
May I just do a quick? If you're done, I just want.
I'm not done, but I'm trying to collect my thoughts. So go ahead.
All right. I remember when my kids used to watch Sesame Street, and there was this bit I always liked to watch called "It's How You Look at It." Okay, that's how BG looks at it. It's doomsday. The meteor's heading towards Earth, and there's no Bruce Willis to save us. I look at it as I see improvement, okay? Who is it? Odegaard, Lukonga, Tavares, White, Ramsdale, Tamayasu. All Arteta choices, all of them, okay? I see improvement in the team. Yes, we're doing some of the same shit that made us all so crazy last year. But I see improvement in the young players. ESR, Saka. They are friggin' studs, and that happened under Arteta.
But
while BG makes great points, I'm just saying I'm looking at it a different way. Go ahead, BG.
Here's
Saka did not come good under Arteta.
It's like this. I get the sentiment behind, and here's the thing with Arteta too that we can't deny. He got a lot of these young guys to commit their futures to the club. I'm talking ESR. Bukayo Saka, he convinced a Ben White to come in and join the side, which look, Ben White was going somewhere. He came here. So he's a great salesman.
Odegaard came here on loan. If it was all, I always think about that. If it was all fucking really, really shit behind the scenes, he would have gone back to Madrid and gone, fucking hell. You'll never believe what's going on at Arsenal.
And that's another thing I didn't say. Odegaard he's starting to figure out how to use him. Odegaard was out of position a couple times against Everton, but he's figuring out how to use him. 2 goals in 2 games.
But here's the thing, Glenn, and this is what you can't deny, is that you everything you just said, he's making the individual better. Maybe the individual is getting better, but your job as a head coach or a manager is you've got to put the ingredients into the pot. And you've got to make something that's going to be delicious for everybody. And right now, what he's making fucking sucks.
I'm giving you the last word because
I
I
mean,
respect you and you're bigger than me. So yeah,
I mean, what you said is what you said is right. The players are better. Some of these players have progressed, but I think how much of that is down to his coaching, in training? How much of it is just down to their natural ability, and they're just their natural development? I'm not arguing. I'm simply putting out a question to say, reel it in a hair. It may not be all Arteta, but you've got to get them to play as a team. And again, what's worse, you have to get them to score. And they're not scoring. And this is now a season and a half. This is now 38, 19, 57 games, 57 matches, plus cup matches. That's just the league. How many Europa League matches did we play in the knockout stage? Take the group stage out of it, because the teams we played in the group stage last year are fucking terrible. But I mean, Villarreal, it's not scoring in that game, in that moment. And we look at the whole, and even in the 10-game unbeaten run, and this is where everybody's like, but we won. We won. We won. It's 3 points. We won. But we should have pounded Norwich. We should have pounded Watford. We should have pounded Burnley. I know Ryan might disagree with that, but at least beat them maybe 2, maybe not 5, maybe not 4, but 2. There's the worrying trend, is that even the bad teams, we're squeaking it out. We're not creative. We're not scary. We're not a hard team to defend. And I'll tell you this about the Everton game, and Ryan and I talked about this yesterday. I don't want to make the North American sports reference, so I'll avoid it. But Everton did something yesterday that when I started to see it, I knew the game was going to turn. They got physical. Not dirty physical. They're putting it down.
I would say dirty physical. I would.
Not all the way. I'm not gonna talk about
stepping on someone's face. How much worse can you get? Tell me. I'd like to know.
You can't. Here's the thing with that, and done, because I don't want to argue it. You can't prove intent.
He saw where he was.
Rowan, back me up on this. You can't prove intent. You cannot prove intent. I'm not going to debate intent, because it can't be proven one way or the other. End of discussion.
Well, I could debate that he saw. I could debate he saw Tomiyasu and he knew where his foot was going. Whether intent, yeah, you're right, but he knew Tomiyasu's face was there and he's intent. I can prove intent. Yeah, Tanner. I can prove he saw Tomiyasu's face. I can prove he saw where Tomiyasu was. So he knew where he was putting his foot. Is that intent? I don't know, but he knew Tomiyasu was there and he put his foot there.
So hang on, who are we talking about? Godfrey or OJ Simpson? Proven intent.
Anyway, when they started to get physical, when Everton started to get physical, and I mean throwing a hip into someone, putting in a little forearm shiver into somebody's back, that's when it turned. That's when everything turned. Everton were the better team yesterday from start to finish. And the overriding, I think, sentiment here from a lot of supporters is they were a down and out team. They were trying to come up to grasp air. They were underwater and they're swimming up trying to grasp air. And we should have just put our foot right on their head and shoved them back down again and held them there for the full 90 minutes. And not only did we not do that, but we actually extended our hand and pulled them out of the water. We saved them from drowning. And you have to look at the big picture. To me, you look at the big picture and you see a team that doesn't score. And Lone Star, I'm going to come to you real quick because this has been on my mind all day as I think about the show and what I want to talk about. So I'm going to get it off my chest before I forget. He's banging the Aubameyang drum. Aubameyang has to start. He has to start. He has to start. Doesn't matter how out of form he is, he has to start. You're right. I was wrong. Aubameyang needs to start. Now, that's not to say that Aubameyang is the end-all, be-all. He's incredibly out of form right now. But he is the best option of a really bad bunch when it comes to scoring goals. So he's got to start. bringing on Eddie for Martinelli, huh? What? He's not a he's a striker, and not only that, he's a poacher. Like he just hovers in the box and just puts a toenail on the ball and it goes in the net. Like that's
not what he did, and he did a good job.
No, and that's and right, like okay, but he didn't score.
That's it, isn't it?
And right now, at the end of the day, this is it. If I'm the coach, if I'm Mikel Arteta right now, and I'm thinking to myself, I go back and I watch video of the last 14 matches, 13 matches. Where are we now? The 10-game unbeaten run ended with Liverpool. Who'd we play after Liverpool that we beat? Newcastle. So we're at 14. We're at 14 matches now. All right. Since the 10-game unbeaten run started. If I go back and I watch all of those, we have scored 15 goals in 18 matches. That's not sustainable. For what we want to achieve this season, that is less than a goal a game.
How long have we been a team where we've always relied on our striker to score the goals, and we've hardly had any goals from any other positions? Now we're surviving because luckily enough, we have players that are able to score goals from these other positions. But the bread and butter goals, the ones that you should be banking on, whether it be Eddie, Aubameyang, fucking Lacazette or Balogun, whoever, we're not getting that. Do you know what I mean? We're not getting that.
And I like what Arteta wants to do. I like the mentality or the approach of spread the goals around. Right, bring the wingers in get the wingers involved. Get a couple of your midfielders involved in scoring goals, but your big gun has to be your number 9. It has to be the main guy in the middle, right? But bring other players in and get more players involved, and it's not happening. We're not getting enough from the outside or the middle to be able to excuse the lack of production from the number 9. Be it Aubameyang, Lacazette, whoever it might be, there's nothing there. And so when I look at the big picture here, this is it, and this is what he wants. This is how he wants to play. But if I'm Mikel Arteta going into training this week before Southampton, I'm thinking to myself, there is only one thing we're going to do until we start consistently scoring at least 3 goals a game. I don't give a fuck about defense anymore. I don't give a fuck. Figure out how to score. You got to score to win. End of. And he's improved the defense. Yeah, given. But you can't win if you don't score. Period. I don't know what else to say here, but it's a season and a half of not scoring goals.
Hold on a minute, Rohan. So what? Have you just taken a break?
Yeah, he's got to get in on this. It was too good.
On the defense
I'm taking a break, and then I was listening to you guys. I can't. That's the thing, right? Like I say that I've had enough, but I can't stay away from this. This Arsenal will just be the death of me. I think.
It's a train wreck. You can't look away.
Because the last time we spoke, you said that you were going to be traveling by car and you were going to be watching the game like while you were traveling. Did you do that?
Yeah, I did. I went to New Jersey in a car, like watched the game in that.
Hang on, just 12 viewers. Car is code for private jet. So go on.
Yeah, it's just like I've been hearing what you guys have been saying, right? Like, and Glenn, I don't think it would have changed if Eddie scored that goal. We should have been like 2 goals down in the first half, right? Like they were all over us, and we don't take these things as a blessing that we get saved by VAR again and again. We think that let's drop deeper and try to just protect our lead, and that all of that comes from Arteta. It's just like it's enough now. I just can't take that anymore. Like the whole team is dysfunctional at the moment, and this guy just like what really gets to me is how safe his spot is, right? That he can make those decisions of bringing on Nketiah, leaving out Pepe absolutely from the team, and just abysmal. Those 10 games that we're talking about, we've lost the last 3 out of 4. Right,
it's not the manager though. That I mean, that bit at the end.
Even against Manchester United, we didn't count that we got gifted a goal.
No, I agree, but I'm just saying that bit at the very end of the match, right? That last play that we made, and Eddie was running with the ball, and I was thinking, oh, something could happen here. And I thought, what's he going to do? Is he going to try and go for a shot and he's going to skew it? And he went for the pass to Aubameyang, and I thought, good lad, because he was well open. And when Aubameyang put that wide, I literally I couldn't contain myself.
But that's the point, right? Like, why did it take us still?
That's putting it wide, is it?
But
do you know what I mean?
Why did it take us till extra time in the second half, losing 2-1, for us to create 2 chances? Right? We created 2 chances, right? One was Nketiah's header, and the other one. Why couldn't we do this before? Why did we get dominated? This team has not won in 8 matches. Everton this reminds us of Southampton, right? When they were having that poor run, with Koeman. And what sort of, protests did we have at that point? And now what did we see here? We got bullied against an Everton team who lost. Like, Liverpool are way better than us, but they toyed with Everton.
Watford,
is there any
Watford
defense?
Watford hung 5 on Everton.
Yeah. Like, there's absolutely no defense. Like, I don't want to make excuses of if Nketiah and Aubameyang had scored. So what? Like, if this guy Richarlison was an inch onside, an inch behind the line, we would have been like, then we would have lost again, right? If buts and maybes can like continue till the end of it. Right. So where is the line that we draw? I've always said it's about the performances. It's about 90 minutes. It's not about, you can have a good performance and lose. I'll take that. Winning with a bad performance can happen once, can happen twice. It will not happen over a sustained period of time.
This is the way we play. This is who we are. This is what we do. And this is why I say he has to go. Because this is his style. This is what he wants. Not.
I don't agree with that.
No, he wants more goals. Yes, he wants more goals, but he doesn't know how to get it done.
Because
what does it say when Martin Odegaard comes out publicly and says we were scared to lose the game? Why are you scared? I want to look at Martin Odegaard and I want to say, why are you scared?
He also said in the interview was mentality. The players sat back. They chose to do that.
Because there's no leader.
Wait. But there's Arteta. If they're sitting back and they're not listening to him and he's saying, no, what are you doing? Why do you keep picking them? Why do you keep picking the same players that you know are going to do the same thing over and over again?
You can't bench 11 players.
Why can't you?
Because they don't have 11 other players to play.
They have how many?
All right, fine. You want to play Cedric? You want to play Mari? You want to play Holding?
Yeah.
No, you're an idiot.
What's the wait? Hang on.
That's the stupidest thing I've probably heard you say.
Tell me the difference between playing them and playing the other guys. If the other guys are going to get a 1-0 lead and then just pack it in and lose,
our guys will actually get the 1-0 lead. The other team will just get blown out of the water.
You're afraid of losing. We're already losing. It can't get any worse.
You see, when Martin Odegaard turns around and says what you said, we were scared and this, that, and the other, there's that part of me that says, well, then, it's down for the leaders on the pitch to make sure that scared feeling doesn't happen.
Right.
However, Martin Odegaard has to be counted in that leadership. He captains a nation. How's he letting everyone get scared? I know that he's young. He's young, but fair's fair. He does captain. He does captain a nation, as does Granit Xhaka. There's a lot of internationals that are playing there. So, I mean, as I said, it isn't Mikel Arteta that puts the ball wide when it falls to Aubameyang. It isn't Mikel Arteta that misses a penalty. Do you know what I'm getting at? It isn't
Yeah.
Mikel Arteta that misses Eddie's chance as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm
Stan.
getting at?
But is it?
What I'm
Is it
saying
Mikel
is, I think what I'm saying is that if we're going to put blame at the door, I think it should be played equally at the manager because he's not absolved. We've already talked about some of the decisions he's making, but the players at the end of the day are striking the ball with their own feet. And if you're
No,
constantly
but-
putting
so
it
it's
wide,
not
and you
about-
can't
so
put a ball on
Stan-
target at this kind of level, then they have to take some kind of blame. And
I agree 100%.
do you
I
know what I
agree
mean?
100%.
And that's why I say that when you're getting to that kind of an area where Aubameyang is, it was right to sit him. It's right for him to come off the bench and get the minutes. Should he have come on before Eddie Nketiah? More than likely, because he is probably, as you say, he's supposed to be our best goal scorer. But when he gets his chance, he doesn't do nothing with it. That's not Mikel Arteta's fault. So you have to put the blame to both parties.
Mm-hmm. I got to say amen to Stan, and I'm just gonna add on to that I think it is such wasted energy to be screaming Arteta out and to get angry about it after Arsenal had one of their best transfer windows in years just this past summer.
But Glenn,
and
it's not
being wasted.
Arteta. It's not all Arteta. You have Adu in the back.
Arteta
you have
and
other
Adu.
people. I don't.
If
You
he's-
gotta
if
stop
he's-
jerking him off. He's not the
Hey,
sole reason.
if he's getting such
say that.
good youngsters, then
You
make him a
did
scout.
just say that. You
No,
exactly
I
just
don't
said
mean that.
You
I
literally
didn't
said we have to give Arteta credit for signing field. He wasn't the one that brought these players in.
Okay,
He may have
okay.
helped.
No,
Is
whoever.
that worth screaming about that I didn't
Oh,
say
Glenn,
Eddie's
I'm ready to
name?
go.
No,
No, you didn't.
I think it's a tag team effort on that between Edu and
No, if he's
Arteta.
so good at scouting players, then make him a scout. If he is so good at negotiating
Yeah,
deals, then
exactly.
make him a negotiator.
Okay.
You know what he's not
Okay.
good at? At managing games. That is what he's not good at. So why are you
Okay.
trying to make him like?
What's more than
because
that?
we have. Why don't we make the groundsman our manager? Because the carpet is one of the best grounds in the country. We are not doing
They
that.
do
Right?
say that,
His skill set is somewhere else, and utilize him there. His skill set is putting out cones for Pep.
Like Jack
That is
Wilshere needs
what
to
he
be a
should be
coach.
doing.
Jack Wilshere should not be in our. We should not sign Jack Wilshere. Sorry,
I do think that sitting here and saying he's got to go, this is who I would like to come in. I get that we have an opinion on that, but it's a moot point because it's not going to happen.
Exactly.
And I honestly believe, and I think it was actually Ryan that originally coined this phrase that I've used for so long now, and that is, if you look at it through this optic that Arsenal appointed a manager that had never done the job before. That's the gamble in itself. That is a gamble in itself, right? And you have to look at it that I believe this, what Ryan said, Mikel Arteta is the project in their eyes. For them to pull the trigger and get rid of them is egg on their face, and they are saying that we made a gamble and got it wrong. And they're not going to do that until it really is like the shit is hitting the fan. I think that unless we find ourselves in a relegation dogfight before the season's over, he ain't going anywhere. And then what will happen is when we get to the end of the season, the minimum requirement has to be European qualification. If we don't get into the Europa League, then he has to go.
Yeah.
And if you're the owners, hopefully they're thinking that way as well. However, when you hear the words come out of Edu's mouth, he talks about not having targets. I don't know whether that's him thinking he ain't got a target or whether the owners have told him that. But you'd have to think, and for me as a supporter, you're getting back into Europe and not the one below the Europa League, not that garbage below it, the Europa League proper, that has to be the minimum requirement.
Yep.
If we don't get that, then it's curtains.
Yeah, I completely agree with this. Is weird. I'm agreeing with everything Stan says, and the Doogie Howser of corporate lawyers is yelling at me. I'm sorry, Rohan, but you said earlier this season you think that Arsenal can compete for the 4th position in the Premier League table, and now you've turned around. Obviously, you with BG and your Arteta out, but with young players and still a manager that doesn't have worldly experience. Everything has to go right for us to make 4th place. And and like Stan said, Europa League at the very minimum, then we can start yelling about Arteta out if we don't at least do that.
Can I just caveat what I said with this as well? if you're going to ask me, do I believe a more experienced manager could get more out of this Arsenal team? Then my answer would be yes. And I just want to use Chelsea as the example with what happened with Lampard. He got given all the money that he wanted. He got the players that he wanted to get in, and he wasn't able to get a tune out of them. And when Tommy Tickle came in, he had the same tools. He wasn't given extra money. There was no window. They won the Champions League. I do think that a more experienced manager would be getting us to a better place. But that's not going to happen now. That means there's going to be bumps in the road because he's learning on the job. I'm not saying that I agree with that, but somebody at the club must be agreeing with that and must have used their foresight to think, well, if we appoint this guy, it ain't going to be a smooth road.
Well, I've said this before about ownership, and I mean, look, a zebra doesn't change its stripes. They are who they are, and they take the approach to professional sports that they take, whether we like it or not. They're not going to change their approach just because this is English football. They've taken the long approach with the Rams in hiring a young, inexperienced, never done this before coach in Sean McVay. They did it with their hockey team, the Avalanche. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Jared Bednar. Again, long approach, young coach, never managed it. Now he's been a head coach at a lower level, but they bring him into the NHL to the top level, and they've played the long game there as well. I don't know what they're doing with the Nuggets. If anybody follows the NBA, chime in. I can't spell NBA, so I have no idea what they're doing with the Nuggets, but they're a good team. I know that much. They're a perennial playoff team every year. So the approach that they've taken with their American teams, albeit without a championship, has worked because their teams are good. The Rams are a Super Bowl favorite. Maybe not but a Super Bowl favorite. The Avalanche are a Stanley Cup favorite. I don't know about the Nuggets. Again, can't spell NBA. But the approach that they've taken is, and look, only one team can win a championship every year. Only one team can win it. Everyone else is going to be disappointed. So 19 Premier League clubs are going to be disappointed come the middle of May this year. Point being, we know he's not going anywhere, unfortunately, but we can't underestimate how important good coaching is. And Stan, you just used the apex example of what a good coach can do with a team without changing it. And that's, what'd you call him? Tommy Tickle?
Oh, Tommy Tickle.
Tommy Tickle? Thomas Tuchel. Same team, same players, different change the coach, and they win the Champions League.
Question as well: did Tommy Tickle bring in a coaching team with him as well, or was he using?
I think they all do that. You know, but
because they don't at Man United, right? When Ollie came, they don't. Carrick and his team have been there under several managers, right? Yeah. Which is weird that they keep changing the manager, but Michael Carrick
keep the same assistant coach
and all that are still there. But
Ragnick brought his own coaches in.
A wise man once said, "Players win games, coaches lose them." He's not wrong. He's not wrong, because this is a relatively talented team, and we talk about. And I've said this before too. And again, everything I've said, this is it. I'm in a much better mood today because I feel a little bit validated. Not that I didn't feel it before, but I feel more validated today, seeing all of the things that I'm seeing, because boy, I've been screaming this for a year. For almost 2 decades, Arsenal have not been able to dive in at one end or the other. They either go half-assed with youth, and they go half-assed with trying to buy veteran players to bring in. They've never committed to one or the other. And every single year, it's the same shit. Chop and change, see if this recipe works. That didn't work, throw it out, start again. That recipe didn't work, throw it out, start again. So we're committing to the youth movement this year. We're gonna play the young players. We're committing to the youth movement. Except for Aubameyang and Partey and Granit fucking Xhaka. Well, there are three of arguably your most important players, and you keep playing them, and you're like, well, yeah, we want to go youth movement, but we don't want to go all the way youth movement. We don't want to go full on youth. Why? Because this isn't working, and Granit Xhaka is not going to get dropped. We all know he's playing Saturday against Southampton, right? Anybody want to argue that point? Because we all know, I think we all know he's playing. Thomas Partey ain't getting dropped. So, two young players, Sambi Lokonga, who's had a pretty good season. All things considered, Sambi Lokonga has had a pretty good season. A few bumps in the road. He's had a couple of poor performances, but overall, he's better than Thomas Partey. And Thomas Partey's own admittance, he hasn't adjusted to the Premier League yet. I'd say Sambi Lokonga's adjusted to it. We all know that Granit Xhaka is too slow. If you don't believe me, Exhibit A, watch yesterday's game. Holy shit. I can run faster backwards, and I'm fat and old. I can run faster backwards than he can. Forward.
Well, I hate this. Might be the first time in like 2 years I'm going to defend Xhaka a little bit. You have to blame Arteta. No, you have to blame Arteta because Tierney.
He's right. He's done. You're absolutely right. Yep. You're absolutely right. Yep.
Because he was gassed. That's all.
Yeah, he wasn't. I mean, I'm not sure he was ready. We heard he wasn't supposed to be back till the end of this month. And what'd you say? You got two training sessions?
Two training sessions.
They said next year. Then they said,
I heard like after the turn of the new year. So
two training sessions.
So here we are again with a manager who, and Glenn, I hate to point it out, but I'm going to, who you said was making all the right decisions with his starting 11. And now we reinsert Granit Xhaka into the equation. Oh, he is
the bee's knees.
He is able to play in a Premier League game. Let me rephrase because that's a poor choice of words. He is eligible for selection to participate in a Premier League game. Can he play in one? The answer after yesterday is very clearly a resounding no. He can't.
And one other thing I didn't mention also, Xhaka was on a yellow card also, so he couldn't go, full blown.
And there is where Damari Gray's goal came from.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because Xhaka couldn't step out to put an attack, to put in a challenge. And hey, full marks to Damari Gray. That's a hell of a goal to score.
Yeah.
That was a thing of beauty. But boy, if Granit Xhaka could step forward and put in a challenge. Now, Xhaka steps forward, puts in the challenge. It's probably a free kick, and who knows what happens from there.
Yeah, but that was in the middle of the field.
He wasn't. Yeah, but he wasn't that far. He was maybe 3 yards outside the 18-yard box when he.
No, when he was challenging Andre. It was Andre Gomez. He was in the middle of the field. If he had got the second yellow, got sent off, it would have been a free kick in the middle of the field. Like it was almost where you kick off.
No. I'm talking about where Gray had the ball, where Gray shot from. Xhaka was right in front of him.
Yeah, but
that's what I'm saying. Xhaka steps out on that.
When the play first broke, Andre Gomez carried the ball through the middle of the field.
Yeah.
Xhaka did what do I call it?
Ole
defense. The Ole defense. Ole, get it for me.
And I just got to
go right past him.
I want to do the pile on the Xhaka because I feel dirty just defending him a few minutes ago.
Come on, Glenn, come on. We need this.
No, his yellow card was kind of fucking stupid too.
It's
very, very stupid.
It's so funny. So I mentioned this on Gary Show yesterday. I'm watching the game, and Anthony Gordon is just running. And I'll be honest, I did make I made a wager on Xhaka getting a yellow card, which easy money, right? So I see Anthony Gordon dribbling. Xhaka's trying to keep up with him, and I'm like, here we go. I'm like really quiet, mumbling. Here we go. And he just literally just grabs onto him and swings him around like they're line dancing. And I go, hey, there we go. And then I just scream, which I think my neighbor might have said something back to me. I'm just going, he's back. And I texted all of my friends, and then they were just not happy. But yeah, it's just.
But why are we talking about Xhaka? Like he he has his limitations, but who's putting him in the team? After
No,
two-
I mean, I agree. You
Right.
play
What is
you
the
play the
difference?
two most unathletic center
And I
midfielders on
don't
the
buy
team,
this
and
thing
you're
of,
asking for
oh,
trouble.
Arteta is not getting sacked and Arteta is not going anywhere, so let's not talk about it. Like, I mean, talking here, we don't affect anything in the game. They are going to play the way that they are going to play in the next game, right? As much as I want to believe that, oh, I was sitting on this side of the Uber for the first half, and then we were like 1-1, and then I sat on the other side, and then we lost 3-2. And as much as I want to say that it was because of me, it wasn't really. Like, logically, it wasn't, right? Like, so similarly, we can't affect anything, but what we can say is how we feel about this team. And I feel like, Arteta is absolutely not the right guy for the job, and nobody can really defend him. We get battered. We've got battered by every big team, and then we've barely scraped through, scraped by, teams that are in the worst of form. I don't think we've beaten anyone. Like Tottenham are above us now, and they are the only team that we have beaten, I think, who are above us or who are in the top half, maybe,
Above us and with a game in hand, by the way.
and with a game in hand. And two, like, what was I saying 2 games ago, last week when we met? I was like, oh, wouldn't it be great that if we win against Manchester United and we'll be 8 points ahead, and then we put them behind? Where are we now? We are 1 point behind them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because
And
Manchester United was at their lowest, and now they've won 3 in a row.
Like, so what, we should have won too. Like, the point is, see, I'll give you an example. You remember that time that we played United at the Emirates, where De Gea saved like 50 shots or something?
Yeah.
You remember that?
Exactly.
I'll never forget that
I
game.
was not pissed about that game. Even though we conceded 2 very early on, I wasn't completely pissed of that, after that game, because I was like, we gave it all. Somebody had just a hell of a game. David De Gea was like, he was a man possessed. I don't mind losing like that. Losing is not the problem. The problem is the performance. We've got that 1-0 lead undeservedly. That was the first attack, that was the first shot on target that we had right at the stroke of half time, right? Coming in, why is he not saying that, you have to go for the second? What is this idea of trying to defend that 1-0? 1-0 does not, no team in the Premier League, be it Chelsea, Manchester City, Liverpool, nobody can defend a 1-0. Let alone Arsenal. You never know when a freak shot from the outside, when a free kick, when a corner, when a penalty, when something is going to happen and you're going to concede. You have to push for the second, and there's an opportunity because the other team wants to score a goal as well. You just got to be smart about it, but we keep going deeper and deeper and deeper. And there is no excuse for Arteta now. He can't be like, oh, the manager is not on the pitch and the players are not listening to him, so who can he put? Now it's his team. How many players, like all the players that are playing in that team, are either signed by him or have been given extensions by him? Was there even one player in that team who was not signed by him or not given an extension by him?
Good question.
Lacazette.
Lacazette.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably it.
But-
Yeah, Lacazette. He chose to play Lacazette, and what motivation? Like, I think that when he comes as a substitute, he does more. What did he do in that whole game? He was a liability. He wasn't even closing down.
It's because he was playing his normal. He
Except
was
for
playing his
Lacazette.
old
Let's
position,
just say-
which
except
I
for
agree he
Lacazette.
shouldn't have been. Which I agree he shouldn't have been doing.
Something that just popped into my head here. When we see the substitutes come on, especially when we're chasing a win, maybe we're tied when the subs come on. Maybe we're losing, but the subs come on and we're not in that moment. We're not in a winning position. Do the subs affect the game?
What do you mean?
Here, what I mean, do the subs affect the game? Does anything change when the substitutes come on?
Oh, Lakanga.
You mean against Everton?
No, I mean in general. In generally speaking,
Yes.
do they? I could not disagree with you more. It's the same system. Here and there, you get and I mean it's sporadic, But here and there, you get little glimpses of. I mean, you're talking about Everton. You're going to say yes, Eddie Nketiah absolutely changed that game when he came on.
He did. He
No,
played
didn't.
really. Yes,
He played. No,
Tanner, he played so good. Do not just because it's Eddie Nketiah, which I agree he should not have came on. He played well. He gave us chances.
We
played our best football. Listen.
Hang on.
We played our best football in the last 10 minutes. What?
While he was on the pitch, did we concede the game winner?
We played our best football in the last 10 minutes.
Wow, yeah,
so
that's the point. You literally just said our game. You literally just said the game doesn't change when the subs come on. The game did change. We played better. Did we win? No, but the game changed. The substitutes aren't impacting that because why did they impact it?
Eddie did. He gave
Ryan. Eddie, how long did Eddie play? How many minutes did Eddie play?
15, 20 minutes. What did he come on? 70th minute? I don't know.
So why did it take in the last 6 minutes? Why did it take the last 6 minutes for the change to happen? Where was it before?
You asked the question. Did the subs make a change? They did. Did we win? No, we didn't. But there was a change. We got more chances. We had more shots on target. There was more chances created. Did we play better?
Because we became desperate. You asked
the question, I answered it. And I don't know what I'm going to tell you. Then you shouldn't have asked that question. That was a very dumb question you asked. I don't know what I'm going to tell you.
Why is it a dumb question? I don't agree with
you're wrong. Well, but you're not right. It's and Stan is freaking me out with his old man mask. I love this show, by the way.
Very good show.
I was trying to make fun of you guys.
Here's the thing. I think the exact same thing would have happened. I think we would have pressured them more to get the goal. I don't think the subs.
You don't know that for a fact. You're assuming.
It's desperation.
But again, you're okay. You're still assuming. You asked me a question. Did the subs make us better? They did make us better.
I respectfully disagree. I don't think they made us better.
Okay. Well,
we lost the game.
Sorry, Eddie.
We conceded with him on. We conceded the game winner with all of the subs on the pitch.
Okay.
So you're saying, but we created the chance. This is expected goals. This is the expected goals versus goals argument. What counts?
You asked if we played better. You just asked.
I don't think we played better. We conceded the game winner. How did we play better? Okay. Wait. Okay, so we played better, but they played even better than they had been.
I think. Hey, here, ready? Your question was, did the subs make us better? The subs played better. The rest of the team did not play better.
You know what the first half of
that's the point, man. That's the point.
I said
did the subs impact the game?
They did.
Negative. I mean, you could argue negatively because
they didn't. The subs positively impacted the game. It's the players that did not get subbed on that negative impacted the game. It was Granit Xhaka that caused us to concede that second goal.
Don't disagree there. I don't disagree there.
So Eddie played well. I guess you could say, to be fair, Nuno helped concede that first goal. Fine. I think Nuno played well when he came on, but he had that again. And I said this to my friend, and I think I said this on the show last week. I think Nuno's a great player. I think he has a lot to learn. The type of player he is, we need in our starting 11. Problem is that one mistake he makes a game, it's a goal. It's a goal against us, and right now when we're not scoring, we can't.
But that's not
one other thing. He
was out of position for that goal that Richarlison scored, which was offside. Tierney was way out of position. It's just that the difference is that one counted and one didn't count. Like, the point is not that whether the changes made us better, whether it was a Hail Mary attempt, etc. That first half, what that reminded me. I was watching last week. I was watching Newcastle versus Norwich, right? Because I have Pookie in my FPL team, so I was like, he's gonna bang a hat trick there. That game was so devoid of any sort of any sort of tactical aptitude. It was just so drab, that match, and our first half was like that. You could see there were two teams that like just weren't at it. You know, Everton was the same. Everton were marginally better than us, and they are a team who hadn't won in 8. They want Rafa Benitez to go. They can't win to save their lives, and we just went there and folded, right? And that's just unacceptable. I will not falter from this place, right? Like of trying to blame anyone else, trying to blame Xhaka, trying to blame Aubameyang, trying to blame Partey, trying to blame Tavares. No, there is only one.
Why?
Because the blame lies only
Arteta doesn't kick the ball. Arteta's the best ball. Yes, I agree.
Exactly.
Arteta shows them, but you have to blame the player.
Because if it's just about one kick of the ball, if we had played really well, and then still we weren't scoring because this guy Pickford had the game of his life, and then the last kick Aubameyang missed that shot, I would have been like, yeah, it's Aubameyang who's missed that shot, and that's the problem. But no, we sat back. It's his team. He can't take the defense
all the time. It's all the time. You're wrong. It's all the time. This is what we see all the time. We see the same thing all the time.
I don't understand why you have to blame one person. You could blame multiple people.
Oh, I blame them all. I blame them all.
Like, you can't. Well, no, Rohan's not.
It's like this, right?
Ryan, Arteta, which makes absolutely no sense.
Ryan, two
Hang
things.
on.
Okay, like you said, we can't change 11 players. We can't change the whole team. There's only one person that we can change here, which is Arteta.
But I agree with you, but you still cannot just blame him. You have to blame Xhaka. You have to blame Eddie. You have to blame Aubameyang.
Let Stan go, because Stan hasn't said anything for about an hour. So
let me. So here's why changes had to be made first of all. Right, Alexandre's Lacazette. Right, this was his contribution to that game.
Ooh,
passes into the box, 0. Key passes, 0. Shots, 0. Progressive passes received, 4. Touches in the box, 1. He made 3 tackles, but he also committed 3 fouls. 1 blocked pass, and he attempted 5 aerial duels, of which he won none. Now, that's not Mikel Arteta out there doing that. That's the player. Do you know what I mean?
I have a question.
What I'm saying is you have to lay the blame at both. Yes, there's a portion to how we're set up, and what we said at the beginning, which me and myself and Ryan were both in harmony about bringing in 3 players that you know that you're going to have to make your substitutions with. You've shown your hand. If you're a clever manager, you're going to look at that and think, well, I know where any changes are going to be made. That's down to the manager. But the stats that I've just read out of what Lacazette done in the game, that's down to Lacazette. And if he's not getting the chances or making his key passes, that's down to the other players not getting the ball to him.
That's on Arteta, that he's not coaching them well enough to get the ball up, to just go deep.
Lacazette's forgotten how to play football. Hold on a minute. Lacazette's played for his country. He's played.
So what? Like our back four
coming through.
Right? Our back four defends at the edge of our box.
It's just look at the stats though. He's making 3 tackles, and of those 3 tackles, all of them were fouls. He's making 5 aerial attempts, right? He's jumping for the ball 5 times. He's not contacting it once. I mean, do you know what I mean? He's a forward. He's not making any key passes. He's making no passes into the box.
Correct.
He's had 1 touch in the box. Now that's not his fault. 1 touch in the box, they're not getting the ball to him. So I mean, the stats. I mean, that's his contribution, and a lot of that is down to the player, but some of it is down as well to the tactics.
I would think most of it is down to the tactics, because we defend at the edge of our box. We don't try to push up and defend at the halfway line.
It's not down to Mikel. Well, for example, using those stats that he can make, going for 3 tackles and not make any of them successfully, can go for 5 headers and not touch the ball. That's down to him.
Lacazette's defense is also only 2 inches taller than
when Lacazette goes for a header, run onto the pitch of a step ladder to give him some extra height.
No, but does that make us concede a goal? Does Lacazette, or was he going to score a goal with his head?
It could.
But I'm just using it as an example where I'm saying that you can see there that that's a player that's not giving you everything. He's not.
If he's not giving, I will say, if he's not giving him everything, then also he has to go, because if he can't get everything out of the players, then you have to get somebody else.
And that's another problem. We're fielding a player whose agent is showing around everywhere, and the player himself is coming out and saying that he's looking for a beautiful project, right? We know that. We know that, right? But this is also the same player that some people were saying is better than Aubameyang, is really instrumental to the kids. So you can't have it both ways. So what do we do now? When we know that a player is leaving us, do we just put him into exile, into the 23s? It's a bit of a juggling thing. But Lacazette is such a, what he's saying, that he isn't professional enough to give us 100% when he's fielded. Because that's what's happened now. Just looking at those stats, he hasn't given 100%. He's not a young kid that's come through the academy. He's an international player. He's approaching his 30s or maybe even into his 30s. He should know better. I bet you if I dug and looked for other stats, I could find similar from other games from players like Aubameyang. I could probably find similar stats from players like Thomas Partey. There's something wrong here with the senior leadership that we've got at this club.
Rohan, can I just
just to finish, for too long, we've been relying on the wrong people in this team, and these kids can only carry us so far. We need some leadership. We're not getting it.
Rohan, before you respond to that, I just want to add one thing to that, because I have to say this, okay? Just 2.5 months ago, when I was Arteta out and as vehement as you and BG are being today, okay, every little thing I saw him do, I got super angry at. It was really kind of ruining my Arsenal experience. Then I started looking at stuff at like what Stan's talking about. And then I started thinking about some of the, the transfer win, all the shit I was saying earlier in the show about why I'm still a little positive. And that's just the way I look at it. I couldn't let, when I was Arteta out, I could not let that feeling ruin everything for me. I had to take apart everything and look at it individually.
And therein, that sums up the problem with this club perfectly. Individual. There's no team. I've said it for 2 years. I've a lot of people have said this for years. It is a team of individuals. And that is where Arteta comes in, and that is where he has to earn his money. He has to bring 11 players in and have them buy in on the same mentality, the same tactics, the same idea, the same plan. And it's a team of individuals. And everything you rattled off, Stan, and I don't necessarily disagree wholeheartedly with everything you're saying. I mean, I don't disagree with any of it. The stats are stats. That's a fact. What happened, happened. But we're talking about a guy that's 2 inches taller, that's 2 inches away from being legally considered a short person or a little person in Lacazette. So, great idea. Let's kick the ball over the top to him, make him the target man, and see if he can win an aerial duel. That's fucking brilliant.
But an aerial duel could even be defending as well, right? It could be defending a corner.
Sure.
It doesn't necessarily mean.
That's if you're doing it. See, defensively, I don't have a problem with it. Put a body on a body. He's not going to win. He's not going to win a header unless he's playing in a U15 game. He's not going to win any headers.
Oh yeah, I mean, if that was the one stat isolated on its own from everything, but those stats basically show you the repertoire of his game. And it basically tells me that his fucking repertoire and his contribution was nil.
What it says to me is that the tactics have everything going down the wings, and when Kieran Tierney plays, everything goes through him. That's what it says to me. Lacazette's in the middle of the pitch. He's not going to win a header, so why are we aerially crossing the ball into the box? Put in a low cross. Maybe.
But so I mean, we could talk about this, but the game that I watched, and I'm sure all of you guys watched the same game of the thing. Most of the headers that I saw him miss were in the middle of the field, like in like the middle third. So and I get that. I don't expect him to win headers. He's not a tall player, but he's a football player. He knows how to jump. So you would think maybe he wins one, maybe two.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're not. He's not. Stan's not saying that Stan's not saying he's missing 5 headers in the box for goals.
If he's going up against guys who are maybe an inch taller than him, sure. You can't teach height.
Okay, let me ask you
Yeah.
another question
The
then.
players
Right?
that he was going up against in headers were not that much taller than him. That's the
Let me
point.
ask you another question, right? You see the way that we
Anthony Gordon is not a big guy.
right?
Did he
See
go
the
up
way this
against
team-
Anthony Gordon
see
for a
the way
header?
that-
Yes.
Quick
Twice.
question. See the way we set up, the way that we played. Come down with a crane, pick up Lacazette, take him out, and place Richarlison exactly in that position. Are we playing any better? Is it the player? Is
I can answer
Richarlison-
that. I can answer that. I can answer that because I just saw this stat a couple hours ago. Arsenal are 18th on crosses into the box in the league. 18th. So it doesn't matter who's in there. We're not doing it.
And you,
It
it's
will
so
not
funny
make
too.
any difference because one player cannot make that difference. We are not playing as a team, and if we want one player to make that difference, that is the problem that Tanner is saying, right?
You see, for a couple of weeks, me and Tanner not been arguing, but we had a difference of opinion when it came to the problems up front. Tanner said was really like, it's our tactics. It's not serving a striker at the moment to put goals away. And I was saying, I found it more that Aubameyang is missing some chances, lots of real gilt-edged chances. But looking at it again now, I mean, Aubameyang didn't start, and Lacazette was no better. I mean, I read the stats out; he had no shots, no chances. So, is it the tactics that doesn't matter who you put in there, or are we just unlucky enough that we've got one striker that's got his foot out of the door and wants to find a beautiful project in Aubameyang, so it's going to blow hot and cold whether you're going to get a good performance or not, depending if he feels like it. And we've got another striker in Aubameyang who is either A, pick from one of the three. A, got his contract, don't give a fuck. 2, he's just getting a bit old and his powers are waning. Or 3, he's fallen out of love with the club. Do you know what I'm getting at? Is it the tactics? Or is it the players? Do you believe that if we went out and bought, what I'm saying is we bought Richarlison tomorrow and plopped him into this team, that the goal scoring would improve or not?
No, not dramatically, because we've scored 18 goals in 15 games, right? What, Richarlison, let's say he adds 5 more, right? He scored 23 now.
Or whoever top striker, but you know what I'm getting at.
Whoever. See,
Stan,
Stan, we have seen in the Emirates era, we have seen Javinho lead the line or Bentner lead the line. They used to miss chances after chances, right? But the point was that we were creating chances. There was never a question on whether or not we were creating chances. We were. They were just not good enough to finish them. Here, in the first half, before that crossfire came in, the goal that we scored, Odegaard scored, did we create anything? No, we didn't. There was not even one shot on target before that. In the second half, we just sat back. And that's the same thing we did at United. We got gifted a lucky goal. It shouldn't even, it definitely should have stood, and it did stand, and rightly so. But if De Gea was up, he would have just it was an easy save for him. We don't count it as a blessing that, oh, now we've got this, let's think that we are still 0-0. Let's play like that, now is the chance to take a little bit of a risk. We want to, minimize that. That's the problem with the team. That's the problem with the manager and the style that they have not completely abandoned him. They play out from the back still. It's not like they're just hoofing the ball ahead. They're listening to what he's saying. He's just not good enough.
And just real quick, as an example, we're losing 2-1 with 3 minutes to play, and he's still trying to play out from the back. He still wants to build the play up methodically as though we've got all day to get the equalizer.
Well, he does what the players do.
They're doing what they're coached to do.
Yeah, but has he told them to? Has he coached them then? Has he said, right, there's 3 minutes to go. We're chasing the game 2-1. Keep playing out the back. Has he told them to do that? I mean, because what I'm saying is, right, we know that we tuck up after 1-0. We fold after 15, 20 minutes and go introverted. But we saw Mikel Arteta waving them on. Mikel Arteta has said in interviews, this is not what I'm not telling them to do this. I don't want this.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the question. So we're going into the 4th transfer window that he's had now.
Agreed.
January will be his 4th transfer window.
Yeah.
all of these new players, and you mean to tell me that you brought Ben White from Brighton and Samuel Lokonga from Belgium and Thomas Partey from Spain, Atletico Madrid, and you brought Aaron Ramsdale from Sheffield United, and you brought all these players in who never played together before, and yet they get here and they do the same thing that the players did before them.
I think
And say that, but that's them doing it, and that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense to say, well, the old players did it this way. I didn't tell them to do that. The new players come and do the same thing the old players did, and I'm not telling them to do it either. Somebody's lying here.
But the new players are better. Our defense is better.
No, I didn't say better. No, I didn't. This isn't a matter of being better or worse. This is a matter of playing the same way.
These older players that playing our attack, that's where the problem is, the midfield and attack. Here's what the problem is. And the question that I asked Rohan, and I think, again, it's 50-50.
It's not.
It's 50-50.
The defense looks better.
They're not getting enough chances. They're not getting enough chances, which, again, could be down to the manager and his tactics. They're not getting enough chances. However, when our strikers, and I'm talking primarily about Lacazette and more Aubameyang, when they do get the chance, they're not good enough anymore to put them away. So the tactics need to change, as does the forwards. Both of them need to go. That's what I think.
Both of them need to go, but I don't think it'll make a drastic difference even if you bring in a whole new forward line. The thing is that our defense looks better because we defend so deep. Everything is in front of us. We don't want to take that risk of people running in behind us because we're not coached well enough to deal with that, right? We're not tactically aware enough to deal with that. But this is his team now, right? His left back, his right back, his centre backs, his goalie.
It's not his
right?
attack, though, is it? It's not his attack.
The attack and the midfield can only be. It is easier to defend. In my opinion, Stan, it is easier to defend because that's with that's a system. If you play so much on the back foot, you're going to stop the other team from scoring. It's difficult, and no matter who else we bring in, we are just not creating as much. And it's on Arteta. He cannot, it's 15 games in, we've got 23 points, right? What are we going to end this season again with 50 points? Where is that going to get us? But till the time that we don't get into the Europa League or the Champions League, then we should not judge him because he's not done this. 2 years is a long time to be manager. Why is he allowed to test all of that with Arsenal? Ole has gone. Manchester United are 1 point ahead of us. Tottenham are a couple of points ahead of us with a game in hand. How is this acceptable?
I do feel at times with Mikel Arteta, though, that he's a little bit, in order to play my system, I must have two centre-backs that are like this. In order to play my system, I must have full-backs which are like this, wingers, and it's almost like he's saying, well, if I haven't got those things, then I can't play my way. And my argument to him is, well, then sometimes you have to adapt with what you have until you get that fullback, those centre backs, those wingers, because you ain't going to get it all in one day. And it does seem a little bit with me that Mikel Arteta is like, well, what do you expect from me? I want to play this way, but I haven't got all of the players to play that way.
Well, then he has to tailor his system.
He's stubborn and inflexible.
West Ham has beaten Liverpool. They have beaten Chelsea. They have beaten Manchester City. They have are they man for man? I don't even know. Maybe it is, but man for man, are they a better team? And okay, in terms of squad value, is it a bigger team than Arsenal? How do they consistently win and we don't win any of them? We're not even competitive. We used to, when Arteta came in, this was one of, now we are not conceding 5 to the big boys. We got annihilated against Chelsea. We conceded 5 against Manchester City. We conceded 4 against Liverpool. What else do you want? Against Everton. Seriously, I thought this was 3 points in the bag. It's just, I don't know why we are looking at 10 different things. Nothing is going to change by changing a couple of it. Yeah, of course. Like,
Can I ask you a question, Rohan? Because I feel like I cannot contribute to any criticism of Arsenal in the first half, because when I saw the lineup, with the exception of Xhaka, I was okay with it. How were you when you saw the opening lineup?
I mean, I was like, where did Xhaka come from? You know? But it's fine. Like, one player shouldn't make that big a difference. And it wasn't just him.
Okay. No, I'm just wondering.
Yeah.
Hey,
It wasn't just him. He made the right call. I think he made the right call. Aubameyang needed to be dropped. As Smith Rowe was forced. Odegaard played. He scored. He did well. Saka obviously is a mainstay there. Martinelli played really well. He was in fact the only guy who looked like he wanted to do anything on the pitch. So out of all of this, it is again and again, it's the tactics. 1-0 up, and this is why we beat Burnley 1-0 with a free kick. We beat Norwich 1-0. That's what we are doing. We've got our goal difference is like -4 or 5 after almost half the season done. We are playing once a week.
Well, it's gonna be more soon enough when it's in December. For like twice a week.
Oh, I thought that was a pause for effect. He froze.
No,
yeah.
I thought you froze too. Yeah, sorry about that. It just, I agree with Stan and Ryan, and I think Rowan, I think you agree with it too, that everyone is to blame here. I mean, I blame the players, and I'll tell you what I blame them for the most. I blame them for not revolting against these awful fucking tactics and saying, fuck you, dude. We're not scoring. We're going to go fucking score. Piss on your, hey, at the stroke of 36 minutes and 14 seconds, I need to be here in this position. Screw that. I'm going to go score a goal. That's what I'm most angry at them about. But when you see us play and you watch us play against other teams and watch the technical area, at first, I appreciated it. I liked it. I liked seeing Arteta up in the technical area and motioning to the players and gesticulating and barking instructions here and there. Now, he's overcoaching. He is coached.
What is he doing throughout the week?
Yeah, he has coached and trained the creativity, the scoring, the expressiveness. He's taken it completely out of the attack of this team. I concede. I think he's done a tremendous job with the defense. Aaron Ramsdale has been an absolute revelation. Is that Arteta? Or is that just Aaron Ramsdale's a real good goalkeeper? He was just on a couple of real shit teams. I agree wholeheartedly with everything that Ryan has said in the past few episodes that we've done with our back five, including Ramsdale. In 2 years' time, we could be talking about this as the best back five in the Premier League. I think that's a conversation that could potentially be had in 2 years' time.
Yeah.
But again, the attack is it's impotent. It's flaccid.
But is it the players or the system or a combination of both? I think.
Yeah.
It has to be. It is folly to say that it is one or the other. It has to be both, and it is both. And like I said, I agree with that. But he's not willing to change. He's not willing to adjust anything to try to create something new, something different. So
what could he adjust? What adjustments could he make? He's got Aubameyang, right, which we wanted him to do. I did. It was time for him to sit.
That is the laziest.
What does he do, right? Hold on. So what does he do? He brings in another striker who costs us £50-odd million, Lacazette.
No.
He doesn't do nothing. I read the stats out. So after that, where are we looking? We're looking at Eddie Nketiah, a player that doesn't want to be here. And we've got Florian Balogun, a player which we're hearing that is going out on loan in January. What's after that, realistically? After that is playing Martinelli through the middle, and that's a little bit untried and untested. And then after that, you've got Nicolas Pepe, who perhaps could play through the middle, but he ain't getting a look in. There is nothing else.
Well,
Guys,
Stan, wait, hang on. Well, Stan, congratulations. You can now do Mikel Arteta's job, because that's all he's doing. He's simply just trying to change players.
No.
That's not coaching. That's fucking laziness. I could teach my dogs to pick a lineup, for crying out. And I'm not insulting you.
No.
That's not a knock on you. That's what he's done. And he hasn't even really done that. Let's face it. You come up with different tactics. Change the formation a little bit.
But he can't. I'm sure. Listen, we see the videos, right, of the players running around in training. We see them with them tiny goals, kicking the ball in, and all of that. When Nketiah passes that ball to Aubameyang, and Aubameyang takes that shot and it goes wide, that's not Mikel Arteta's fault.
Yeah, Stan,
that's not Mikel Arteta's fault.
It's not Mikel Arteta's fault. I know, Glenn, you want to say something, but like I really have to say this, right? Like it's not Mikel Arteta's fault that Aubameyang missed that chance, right? But I would have been just as pissed even if he had scored, because it took us 93 minutes to create that one chance.
I get that. I'm not absolving that.
That is the problem.
I'm not absolving that.
That is the problem. That's the crux of the problem. See, our better finishing.
But
let Glenn jump in here.
Right? The players are the ones that for the first 15 to 20 minutes followed the tactics and they got the goal and we looked up for it. Then it was the players that decided that they weren't going to continue doing that and went into themselves. The manager is at the sideline telling them to, what the fuck are you doing? Get up there, do this, do that. They're not listening.
Take them. Change them.
Then he made some changes and that, and I don't even agree with the changes. But here's what I'm saying is, right, if you dissect it, before Aubameyang gets the ball, right, look at the play that happens before that. The movement that happens, the play. Yeah, it's too little, too late, but all of a sudden now, the players do some nice movement. That's got to be tactics. That's something they've worked on in training. To polish off the move, you've got to put the goal away. The ball falls to Aubameyang, he doesn't finish the move. So you could say, if you want to be pedantic, you could say praise to Arteta for coming up for that movement, that play. But like quarterbacks, when they say, right, what's the play? We go to the book. You're going to do that. You're going to go there. When they run there, so the play went down. It wasn't finished. The touchdown wasn't made. Now, I'm not trying to absolve Mikel Arteta because I was 50-50 when he came in. I'm not a big preacher of Mikel Arteta but the blame has to lie at the right place. I get what you're saying, though, Rohan. Why weren't we making moves like that earlier? Yeah, why weren't we making moves like that earlier? But we weren't making moves like that earlier because Mikel Arteta was telling them to stay back, don't move the ball forward. The players, for whatever reason, go into their shell, and those older players that are on the pitch, there's no Tony Adams, there's no Martin Keown, there's no Vieira saying, no, we're not sitting back, we're going to go now for the second goal. There's no one leading.
Okay, if Mikel Arteta can't handle these players, and if changing the players also means that he's getting the same output, then he's the problem. Then you have to change.
Yeah, agree there.
Let Glenn go.
Same thing. I agree with you there. I agree with what you said there. If he's not the one to get these players to get the most out of them, then maybe, like I said, we saw it with Frank Lampard. He could only take the players so far. But Frank Lampard, for whatever reason, under Tommy Tickle, Werner can score better goals. He feels more motivated. It works. I get what you're saying, but the blame has to be, at the moment, it's not Mikel Arteta taking shots and penalties. It's other players, and they're not doing it.
Glenn, go.
Okay, Stan, when we agree like 100% on a show like this, you really need to tag me in like fucking wrestling, okay? Because I'm going to get an ulcer listening to you guys. And the other thing is, you have to teach me that British thing you do. It's the only thing that shuts everybody else up is when you say, hold on, and then everybody shuts up. I don't know how you do that, but you got to teach me that, okay? Guys,
I'm from Peckham.
I want you to remember, all right, we're talking about communication between Arteta and the players. Part of this argument is based on something we do not know. Do you remember this point in the game? It was late in the game. Somebody got hurt, and the players went over to Arteta and were taking a water break. And Arteta is like fucking Mussolini on the balcony talking to them, okay? But we don't know what he's saying. We don't know if they're listening. So we cannot make ourselves so crazy about this.
Well, no, Glenn, we clearly saw Arteta telling the team to push up when we were up 1-0. He was clearly on the sidelines. The camera was there. He's telling, like I said, go up. He's telling. I heard him even say laka 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 laka, and he's pushing up.
Yeah.
I heard him. He said it to. I think he said it to Odegaard, and I think he said it to Partey too.
Okay, well, the only one I watched was
that you go there. Like,
the only one I watched was
that help?
Let me ask you all a question. One word answer, and if you give me more than one word, I will mute you. One word answer. You're the coach. You are telling your players to do something. They don't do it. Not only do they not do it once, they don't do it for virtually an entire game. You're telling them to do one thing. They're doing the complete opposite. It's almost as if they are purposely defying you. Are you going to play them in the next game, yes or no? Ryan?
I can't answer in one
word. Nope, it's one word.
I can't answer that question. So I'm not answering.
No.
Stan?
No.
Yes. But
you're still going to play it?
There's
okay.
context. There's context, but you asked me for
one word. I mean,
so I'm saying
the point is this. If they're not doing what he's telling them to do, then how do they continuously get picked in the team? I have the wait. It's a
I mean, there's limits, right? There's limits.
It's a rhetorical question because the answer is, well, who are we going to play? Who are we going to play in their stead, right? Because the guys on the bench theoretically aren't as good as the guys that are getting to start, but maybe the guys on the bench will do what they're being told, and at the end of the day, we lose either way. So what's the fucking difference? This football club is insane. This football club is insane. They're doing the same thing over and over again, and they're expecting different fucking results. Fucking change something. Like this.
Change the leadership.
That's fucking something. I don't care. Change the name of the fucking club.
Has to change, first of all.
Tell the players to take a different car, drive a different car to the stadium. Tell them to wear different underwear. Change something. Fucking Christ. This. I'm 43 years old. I'm 43 fucking years old. I've never coached a team in my life. But I know enough to know that if my team isn't doing what I tell them to do, I got to change something. Or I need to go because I'm clearly being disrespected.
I feel fucking old now as well.
But no. Here's what we're gonna do. No, we're losing and we look like shit. We look like shit when we win. Fuck losing. We look like shit when we win. And we're going to continue to do the same thing over and over and over again and think that somehow, some way, magically, the skies are going to open up. God himself is going to descend from the heavens and just anoint us the best club in the fucking world. This is fucking stupid. This is fucking stupid. This is where I'm at. I'm gonna give myself a fucking aneurysm because now I've pissed myself off. This is fucking stupid. Arsenal, if you're watching me, change something. Fuck.
Hello,
give me a house in London. Give me a private jet to fly over there so I can get the dogs over there safely. I don't even need a car. I don't need a car. I can take public transportation. Give me a house. Pay me a livable wage, and I guarantee you I'll get them to fucking win games and score fucking goals.
Damn, man.
If you are watching Arsenal and the Gunnosaurus is ever sick or has a day off for holidays, I could fill out that outfit.
Arsenal has turned BG into that guy that goes crazy.
They wouldn't have to stuff the belly. I've got that. So
Arsenal has turned BG into that guy that goes crazy in the foxhole because there's too many mortar shells. You really, dude, take a breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. Do that 5 times.
Nordran in the chat says that I'm arguing that there are no bad teachers, only bad students. I think it's a little bit of both. And this is coming from somebody that has been a bad student, a very, very bad student. But that's another podcast on its own. I'm just saying that the blame for what's happening at Arsenal is not being. It can't be laid at one door.
It
The
can
players,
never be
the
laid at
players
one
have
door.
to take accountability, right? And when I say the players, most of that is laid at what I would call the senior players in our team that are supposed to be
it's the
guiding
cards.
the ones. But
It's
also,
the cards. It's the
Standard.
cards we've been dealt. A young manager, a young team.
yeah, exactly, Glenn. The club made that decision. The club have backed that decision. We can sit on these podcasts and say how much we disagree with it, but when you've got a team that's made up of there's three things, elements of this team. There's a majority of players that are quite young. There's a leadership fucking element to this fucking team that doesn't give a fuck anymore because the management either want to sell some of them or some of them don't want to stay anymore. Right? So you got those two elements going on, and then you tandem that with a manager who's fucking still got his training wheels on his bicycle. There's going to be fuck ups. There's going to be large fuck ups. Do I think that it's right to give the keys to Arsenal to a manager that's a novice? No, I do not. I never thought it has. And when he was announced as the manager, I was 50-50, but I was more like, really? Okay. Well, I didn't know Arsene Wenger when he came in. I never knew who he was. So, okay. But it wasn't my choice. But if this is the deal that we've made, when I say we, I'm talking about the club. We've got this as guys, the manager who's never done it before. We're backing a fucking team that's got fucking youngsters who are still learning their way. And we've still got an element of fucking wasters at the club, a leadership team who half of them don't want to be there. Half of them are overpaid. Some of them ain't even good enough. There's going to be problems. There's going to be problems. And you cannot lay the blame just at one fucking place. It's a shit show.
It's not laying the blame at one person, but like you have to, like somebody said in the chat, you can sack one person, not 25, right? And where does the main problem stem from? If we were creating chance after chance and somebody was missing it, I would be like, yeah, if we played one game bad, but generally our play was really good, but we weren't. We've all supported Arsenal throughout those barren years, the 9 years that we didn't win, we supported them. Did we have this conversation ever about how poor our play was? It was always about how shit our defense was. But at least they were trying to make something out of it, right? They were just not good enough. These are all his players. How can he take that defense that these players are not good enough now when he has bought them in?
I mean, I look at it this way, right? For years, the biggest glaring thing in our team that I always thought was the big glaring hole that Wenger always used to overlook was we never replaced Patrick Vieira or Gilberto Silva. We never replaced that element really in our team. We'd always be looking for that player and we'd turn up with another attacking midfielder, an Arshavin or somebody like that that's going to create more flair. But we went out and all that went down with the Thomas Partey that dragged out for how long? And don't get me wrong, I don't watch a lot of Atletico Madrid games, but Thomas Partey was a big rep. Everybody was just like Partey, fucking Partey. And what did we do? We went there like thieves in the night. We gave the Liga their 50 fucking mil and we brought him back on the fucking private jet. But what's happened? What is happening with Thomas Partey? Because I never watched him a lot I've seen flashes of him. I've seen Champions League games and he was playing. What's going on there? What's going on there? And it almost feels that if I ask this question, I'm being fucking toxic. All I'm asking is that I'm underwhelmed with what I've seen so far. And the player is underwhelmed because he's rated himself as a 4 out of 10. Now, is it a question, right, that we bought a dud, he was overrated, or is it a question of if we got rid of Mikel Arteta, i.e. Frank Lampard, and brought in Ten Hag, i.e. fucking Tommy Tickle, he would get more out of him. What is the problem?
All right, I have
to. What is it?
I have to go, so I just want to say one or two sentences in response to what Stan said. To me, I agree with Stan. Partey needs to sit for a game or two. We don't have the depth in midfield to do that.
Why not, Glenn? We have Amen, we have Makambo, we have Albany, we have Xhaka. That's 4 people that can play one position. What do you mean?
Because we rate these players differently. Ryan.
But no. You just said no depth. They're players on our first team roster. Do they deserve to start? That's not what question you asked. You said we don't have depth, meaning we don't have players. We have players. We have 4 players to play one position. That's depth. And if you don't rate Lakanga and AMN to play in this 11 with Jacques and Partey, then Glenn, you need to watch a new team, buddy. Or we need to, because I don't know what you're watching.
Because somebody has to cover when Tierney bombs down the left wing, and that's why Jacques is going to be in there. And I don't like Jacques. I don't like any midfield.
Why does somebody have to cover? Why? Liverpool play both their fullbacks are constantly bombing forward. They don't have anyone to cover. Their 2 center backs are just out for a picnic in the back of their third. No one covers for them. Why do we need Saka to cover? We do not need him. He covered. He was terrible. We don't need any cover. We can play Gabriel. And to be fair, and I know people won't agree with me. I think Ben White and Gabriel are better than Van Dijk and I don't even know who their guy is. It Matip, Gomez? I don't know who the fucking other center back is. Or Coyote. I don't know if he starts for them. I think Gabriel and Ben White are more versatile. I don't think we need cover. We could play if we wanna. If we need to score goals, we want to do these things. We could leave 2 at the back. And yeah, maybe I'm starting to listen to what you're saying, where we kind of need more of a center, or everyone, not just Glenn, but we need a center defensive midfielder, because maybe we need someone kind of to maybe be that tip of the triangle to play back. I don't think we do, because I think we need to focus more on attacking. But we don't need that. We don't need someone to cover for Tierney. Liverpool doesn't do it, and they're one of the best teams in the world.
And with that, I say good night. I have a new video dropping at 2 a.m. Glenn, AFC, New York. Guys, it was a pleasure, but I have to go.
Thanks, Glenn. Anybody else? Feel free to jump in.
Would you take David Moyes over Arteta right now?
Yes. Rowan, I would take me over Arteta right now.
I think that David, I'm not saying that he's the answer, but I feel that he would be able to get more out of the squad that we have because he's got more experience. It just goes without saying, right?
Here's the only thing that I disagree with the experience thing on is this. Arteta's not dumb. He's not dumb. I mean, he was an assistant under Pep Guardiola, who is widely considered one of, if not the best manager in the world. So he's not dumb. He's stubborn. If he would just look at his system and say, okay, the system doesn't work, so we're going to try something new. We have to try something different. The putting different players in there doesn't solve the problems. We keep seeing the same with different players. We keep seeing the same style of play with different players, match in, match out. This goes back to my point that when I asked Ryan, I'm not going to rehash it. We disagree, but the subs, when the subs come on, we seem to play the same way until we're up against it, until we're our feet are being held to the flame. Right? 5 minutes left in the match. We're a goal down. We need to go get it. And then we go for it. Well, why aren't we doing that before? And again, if it's the players, and if it's not Arteta, if it is the players, then fuck them. Then don't play them. I'd rather lose. I'd rather lose with players who are going to try to score goals than lose with players who are disobeying their coach's instructions.
It's not about being dumb. I think it's about
That's what I mean.
I think it's about personality. Why is it, ever since Mikel Arteta has been the manager of our team, why does it always have to be a player who's on the naughty step? If it's this player 1 week, they're on the naughty step. It was Matteo Guendouzi, Ozil. There's a player on the naughty step. It's Pepe. Then Pepe, they come back into the team. We really like the player. We want to put our arm around the player. Then the player's in the game. Then they're taken out for a while. Mikel Arteta always seems to have like a problem. He always seems to have someone that's got the ump with us. And there's too much of that. Do you know what I mean? And someone once said to me, like, if you get up in the morning and you go out for the day and you're walking around town, and you fucking meet someone in the morning and they say good morning to you and you walk away from them and you think to yourself, what a fucking arsehole. And this happens to you all afternoon, like you're greeting people and that, and you keep thinking that same opinion, chances are that you're the fucking arsehole. They can't all be fucking arseholes, do you know what I mean? And Mikel Arteta always seems to have the hump with someone. So is that something that he brought with him from Man City? Is that a trait that he brought? Because there's always someone that there's disharmony with at some point. Now it's Pepe. Now Pepe's the fucking, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that Pepe is the answer, but invariably, one thing that Pepe does do is he does involve himself in goal situations, whether it's the second ball, first ball, or a goal, and he's overlooked for a player that's on, he's got his foot out the door and ain't interested. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it. And that to me, I think it's a little bit like it's not that he's stupid. It's that it's something. Maybe he's got some social skills, personality.
Yeah.
Well,
You can have scientists that are really intelligent in their field. You put them in a room with people, and then just rub people up.
Oh yeah.
You don't get that?
That's
He's like,
100% that.
Oh, I've coached with Pep Guardiola. Every time Pep Guardiola says that if you give me some more time, I'm gonna be really great. I have a head full of hair. I'm married to like the fucking whoever, like Miss Spain or something. Like everything is so great in my life. How can I be wrong? That's what what he reminds me of is. Emery used to make those early substitutions, and initially it was like, oh, so nice, like he is, he can change the game with his substitutions, and then you sort of understood that his game plan initially was itself so shit that he had to change it mid-game. That's what he's doing. He gets the whole week to coach, and then he comes on the sideline and he's yelling for 90 minutes. What has he coached then? What has he coached throughout the week? Why does he need to yell so much? Why are the players always sitting so back? Why are, it can't be, it's not just one game. It's not just this thing. And the defense that we are lauding, that we have become so good in defense, that is where our attack starts, right? They sit so far back, that it always costs us. Our midfield is then squeezed. Our forward line is basically at the center box. At the center circle. So then how else are we going to attack? We start games fast, we get the lead, and then we sit back. It's obviously not only one person's fault. I don't even want to get into that to say that no, players are completely absorbed. Players may be not good enough, but they're better than this. I'm not saying like, Tanner, you said, right, that 19 teams are going to be unhappy because they don't win the championship. I don't think the expectation was ever that. The expectation was finishing fourth or a close fifth. The expectation is not to win every game. It's to put in a performance, right? It's to put in a performance in 7 out of 10 games, 8 out of 10 games. We put in a performance 2 out of 15 games. Since the beginning of the season, we've played one good half against Tottenham. We played one good half against Leicester, and we played a good game against Aston Villa. Did we play any other game that was good? That's basically only 2 good games out of 15.
What does that run of 10 games mean in the real scheme of things? Because we had the first 3 games of the season where, personally, I definitely thought that we had the first game against a team that had just come up, Brentford, right? I think that we should have got something out of that. All that bollocks about just coming up in a new stadium, and I don't think that's any fucking justification why we lose to Brentford. The next 2 games, was it City and Chelsea, was it? Yeah. The next 2 games, I felt that the way that everybody was talking about those games were lost as soon as the fucking fixture list came out, because it was like, well, we ain't going to get nothing out of that. And I think that everybody was saying that it permeated down into the team. So the first game, we should have got something out. The next 2 games, I don't believe in buys and they're a pass. You should get something out of the game, right? And then we went on a 10-game run. And I was fucking stupid enough to think that we were turning some kind of a corner because I went into that Man United game confident, and it's the first time in ages that I went in there. I was just like, we're going to get something out of this game. I wasn't cautious like I'd been during that 10 run. So what was that 10 run that we had? Was that papering over cracks of a bigger problem that is still there? Or, you know, did we earn that 10-game run? Because, I mean, has anyone got the 10-game run up? How many wins, how many draws? Does anybody know?
We won 8 and we drew 2, right?
Okay.
We drew
So
against Brighton. We drew against Brighton and Crystal Palace, in which Crystal Palace absolutely, and both of them dominated us. We should have lost both of those games. Somehow we got a last-minute equalizer against Crystal Palace at home, and it was a 0-0 somehow against Brighton. We won. Our whole thing started with Norwich, who are like, you know, who's one of the worst teams in the league. We won 1-0 there. We won with a free kick against Burnley. You know, the only, like I said, the good game that we had was half the game against Spurs. In the second half, we sat back again, and it could have been 3-3. It could have been, you know, something very different that they.
Are you of the opinion? Are you of the opinion then? Are you of the opinion? Because I felt not talking about the last game in the Everton game, I was like, we're riding our luck during this game. Do you think then, Rohan, that we've been riding our luck for that 10-game run?
For a large part of it, yes. In that game itself, in that Tottenham game, Kane had a one-on-one which he scooped and it went just wide. He had a header that he usually buries against us. He didn't score that. You know, there were a few chances that they had which they could have scored. You know, it could have been very different. It was like this, you know, this time we are talking about, oh, you know, if Aubameyang had scored, if, you know, somebody else had scored, you know, if Nketiah had scored. But what if this guy was not marginally offside? In the second offside decision was they had to like really zoom in to find that Richarlison was offside. You know, I
think that we earned what we earned in those 10 games. Personally, I don't think you can go on a 10-game run on luck. But I do think.
So I have this out, right?
I do think that inconsistency can play a part, and what I mean by that is that with a profile of young players that we do have, and we have put 6 to 7 players into the team at once, that does play a part, and a manager that's got his fucking stabilizers on his bicycle means inconsistencies. I think that, you know, and I know he's been here for 2 years, and I know to some people I'm trying to defend Mikel Arteta, but I'm just trying to look at it logically. And I have been saying that I can put the blame at many doors. I'm not absolving one person or the other here, but Alex Ferguson, when he came down from Scotland, it didn't happen straight away. It was about 3 seasons, right, until he started getting results. Are we saying that we're in a world now where you just don't get that time?
Nope.
You know, it's 3 seasons. I mean, and when I say 3 seasons, it's not like he got relegated and came up. You're still in the top league, but there has to be, you know, you're not the best, you're not the worst, you're just coasting. And you got to think, right, that I've supported Arsenal since I was like, you're 43, Tan, I'm 53. I've supported Arsenal since I was 10. And they've not been a team that's always been in the fucking higher echelons.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? There's other people out there that have been supporting a football team maybe 25 years longer than I've been supporting my team, and maybe only seen their team win 1 cup in that time. You know, never maybe even get into Europe or whatever. So,
well, I mean, your point, Stan, goes to. I mean, I'll be totally honest here. It goes to a much bigger societal problem, and that is just instant gratification. Everything is right here. Everything in the world is right here. I don't have to leave my house for anything, other than having to go to work and make money and all that. But if I were just randomly, independently wealthy, I'd never have to leave.
You could work remotely like Lone Star.
Yeah, right. I could live in my house, never see anyone, never do anything. I could do everything I need to do from right here. And with the advent of social media and the way that we can just spout off at players now and spout off at the team and just all of it, it becomes the fan base through social media has created this. Arsenal are one of the biggest clubs in the world, and this is unacceptable. And this is a wholly European way of thinking about professional sports because Americans just don't think about sports that way. You're going to have your ups and your downs. It's always better in American sports. Now, we have the draft. We have collegiate drafts. The worst thing, and I've said this before, the worst thing to be in American sports is mediocre because you're drafting in the middle. So either if you're really good, you're always drafting at the bottom of the round. If you're really bad, you're drafting at the top. But if you're mediocre, you're always stuck right in the middle. And you never go anywhere. You're always 500. You're always 8-8. You're always 81-81, whatever the case may be. But in football, it's different because you don't have a collegiate draft. So it is all about spending money, but it's not all about spending money, but it's about building the right team. And it's about spending the money that you're able to spend correctly. You can catch lightning in a bottle. Leicester did it in 2015.
Let me just ask you a quick question there before you move on to your next point. Do you think that we've spent our money correctly? The 200 odd million that Mikel Arteta has been given thus far, has it been spent correctly?
I mean, I would say, given the profile of the players that we've brought, most of the players that we've brought in for that money, I would say, yeah. It's been spent correctly. But you have to look at the coaching as well, and the coaching isn't getting the job done. You're going to go down the road of the youth, but in some of the most important positions on the field, we're denying the youth in favor of what is perceived to be veteran leadership.
Let me ask another quick question then. When you say that the coaching isn't being done correctly, is that because when we're watching games, it seems to be a trend now, we start really well, 20 minutes, we maybe nick a goal, and then we close up. And you're saying that that's bad coaching. I
mean, if that is what they're being told to do.
But here's the thing though, right, Tanner?
Yes, it's bad coaching.
That would be bad coaching, but the manager tells us that that's not what he's coaching, and then we see him, like Ryan was saying as well, waving the team on. So do you see where I'm coming from? So then So then have we got a manager then that I'm just trying to look at it all logically. Have we got a manager? If that's not what he's telling them, and that's not what he's showing us through the game, then have we got a manager who is not respected from the fucking get-go, so that when they stand out there at training and he says we're going to do A, B, and C, they're thinking about how they're going to get their car tuned or their haircut, or the manager's talking shit. Is he not even getting through to them in the first place?
I mean,
he's telling us, right, that's not what he's coaching them. That's what he's told us. So he's either lying to us, he's either a fucking liar, or that's what is happening and they're not listening. And we see him, we've seen him waving them on. We don't see him saying, come back, what the fuck? Stay out, come back, tuck in, park the bus. We're not seeing that. So then, is it then that the players that are standing in front of him, they don't respect his profile in the game? Is that what happened at Chelsea? When Frank Lampard stood in front of those players and we're telling them we're going to do A, B, and C, were there players standing there thinking, we don't believe in you as a manager, because the same players raised their game for Tommy Tickle? Do you see what I'm trying to look at here?
Well, I certainly think that there is an element of respect that just comes along with the manager that you hire, and Thomas Tuchel has done it at the highest level, right? I don't know what his track record is in Germany. He's successful. I don't know how many trophies he's won. I don't believe he's ever won a Champions League, if I'm not mistaken.
No.
Well, hadn't won a Champions League.
I like that comment by Lone Star, by the way, just from what you're saying.
Sometimes it's how you say
it, not what you say it. Is it that?
I mean, so I think part of it was when Arteta was brought in. You look at a player like Aubameyang, at a Lacazette, at a Granit Xhaka, at a David Luiz, who is older than all of them, and he's not far off from having played against Mikel Arteta. When you think about it, right? He was at Chelsea. Arteta was, so there's that element to it. So you've brought in this young, inexperienced, no experienced manager who has played against some of the players that he's now trying to coach. And he's played against them, not with them. He's played against them. And I think you get a little bit of that. Well, who the fuck is this guy? Like, I was just playing against him 2 years ago and he was shit then. So what? Those who can't do teach? But
here's a spanner in the works. Steven Gerrard.
Well, but Steven Gerrard went up to Scotland, right? Steven Gerrard went up to Scotland, got away from where he played, right? Got away from all of that, went to a different country and cut his teeth there. I think Steven Gerrard coming back to England now I think this was the perfect time for him to come back. That's a perfect move for Aston Villa.
Yeah.
Going away for the year, I think Mikel Arteta, I think it in retrospect and hindsight will always be 2020. I was excited about the hire because the idea of what ownership had in mind, the way that they were hoping that this would play out, again, was, okay, look, shit's going to suck for a year or two.
Steven Gerrard is so far advanced to Mikel Arteta. Even though I ripped the piss out of the Scottish League, being Scottish myself, as you know, but I ripped the piss out of it. He has taken a team. He knows how to manage a team through a season, how to keep them going, how to get them to win, how to keep them interested after they've won, to maintain it. Even though it's in a league that's lesser, he's had the experience of doing that. So I think Steven Gerrard, man, I think he's going to do really well.
And I think he's eventually going to outgrow the Aston Villa job and he's going to move on to something bigger.
Yeah.
Could that something bigger be Arsenal? I don't know. But at the end of the day, what it comes down to
cheeky
is right. At the end of the day, what it comes down to is, okay, so if he's waving them forward, right, and they're not listening to him, and you just brought up what are they doing in training? They're not listening to him in training either. Well, if they're not listening to him in training and they're not listening to him on the pitch, I don't give a fuck.
Is that why he's not picking Pepe? Do you remember what he said about Eddie Nketiah? Well, I see what he's doing in training. I like what he's doing. So does that mean then that players, if he likes what Eddie's doing in training and he's bringing Eddie on ahead of Aubameyang and Pepe, then do we take from that then that those players aren't doing what he wants them to do in training or given the application?
He has never fancied, he has never rated Pepe, first of all. He's never rated him. And when he first came in, and this is another thing that you guys will all, I think.
Is that because he's an Emery guy, or just because he doesn't rate him as what he sees?
Okay, so I'm going to contrast two players. Pepe will be one, and I'm going to contrast him with Granit Xhaka. And there is a reason why, because Pepe, when you think about it, when you look at Pepe as the player that he is, you think, man, he's fast, he's reasonably athletic. Yeah, I mean. He has everything. He has a blister of a shot from his left foot. He has everything.
Rohan, you look really sad. Right, hang on, Rohan, you look really sad, sat like that. You were like,
he's doing. He can't take himself away from the conversation.
Really sad. He's probably looking at his phone, but you just look really sad.
No, he's doing work. I know what he's doing. He's doing schoolwork. I can tell he's.
I know he's still prepping his defense for. He's prepping his defense for Ghislaine Maxwell.
Oh God, I hope not.
On the Ghislaine Maxwell defense.
But. You look at the thing that I've said about Pepe as it pertains to Arteta. Arteta values IQ. Arteta doesn't value as highly as I think he should. Doesn't value athleticism. And he doesn't value pace. He values IQ. He wants you to be smart on the ball, not quick, not fast, not strong, not athletic. He wants you to be smart. And when you look at the players that we have in this squad, Ainsley Maitland-Niles might be one of the best athletes in the Premier League. I'm not saying he's one of the best footballers, but he might be one of the best athletes in the Premier League. He can't get it. He has two man of the match matches, and he can't get a sniff. I don't even think he got a shirt yesterday against Everton. I don't think he was on the bench. What Arteta, he wants you to be smart. So the difference, let me bring it back to Granit Xhaka will never lose his place in this team through somebody, what's the word I'm looking for? Just no one will ever outplay Granit Xhaka to overtake him in the lineup. Mikel Arteta thinks that Granit Xhaka is one of the smartest footballers in the world. Now think about that for a minute, right? But that's why he always that's why he always gets in. That's why he got into the lineup a month before he probably should have, and played all 90 minutes when it was clear at 50 minutes that he had nothing left in the tank. Again, could have run faster backwards than he was running forward at 50 minutes. He had nothing left in the but there's Mikel Arteta leaving him on. Why? Because he values the perceived IQ of Granit Xhaka. He looks at a guy like Pepe and says, now you're too instinctual. You're not smart enough to play Mikel Arteta ball. You rely on your instincts too much. And gentlemen, therein lies the entire problem with scoring. Is he wants you to think about it rather than just, in the words of Jesus Christ, Al Pacino.
What you're basically saying is right.
Whoa, I gotta get my impression. Wait a minute. Hang on.
God.
Al Pacino from Ocean's 13, you have to feel it.
It was terrible.
Sorry, Stan. I had to get it out, man. I
was just going to say that basically what you're saying, that if this was a band, Mikel Arteta doesn't have any place for Jimi Hendrix.
Right.
Exactly.
Mikel Arteta is not a rock and roll guy. Mikel Arteta is an orchestral guy. Mikel Arteta is the guy that wants to conduct you. This is Mikel Arteta. He wants to conduct. He doesn't want you to just get up on stage and riff. He wants you to play every note exactly where it is on the page, exactly as it's articulated. I really need to knock off all the musical references, but that's what he wants. You've got the sheet music here, right? This is what you play. Don't you dare go off the script. This is what you play, what's right in front of you. He doesn't like jazz. He doesn't like improvisation. He doesn't like, rock and roll. He doesn't. No creativity. It's all IQ.
I want to ask Ryan a question.
Okay. Yeah.
So, in your opinion, then, what the fuck happens next?
What do you mean? Like with Southampton or just in general?
Exactly, right? We've got a game. There's no time to lick wounds for too long, right? There has to be a game of football's got to be played. So what now?
What we need to do, which he's not going to do, is we need to put athleticism and run at teams, because that's what we're best at. But he's not going to do that. You need to play. I'm not saying you have to play Amen and Lokonga together, because I know people have a shit fit if that happens. But you have
so who would you line up? Who would you line up? Because basically it's about personnel, isn't it? Are you going to pick for now after everything that's gone on?
I mean, it's funny. I would pick Amen and Lokonga in the midfield. Obviously the back five changes. You pick Amen and Lokonga, and then the front
left back.
Oh yeah. See, it depends. Like for Southampton, Nuno, but I just feel we rely on Tierney too much when he's on the pitch, especially for our attack, which our attack sucks.
Are we still going to play that 4-4-1-1 that we've been sticking with? Is that the way to keep going? Because that's new, isn't it? This is new for Arteta. 4-3-3, then it was 5 at the back. Now we're going to like almost basically an off 4-4-2, right? Which I like.
Yeah, I mean,
are we sticking with that?
A 4.
Do we like this?
Yeah. I tactically, I don't really care what we play. I think it's more about personnel, and it's more about using our athleticism and using just, again, imposing our will. So, like I said, Lokonga, Amen.
Ryan, may I dare I say using our instincts in attack?
Yeah. I think I I kind of want to bring back the pinwheel of death a little bit because I don't think we have, because like Tanner says, we don't have a the best of a bad bunch at striker. I don't think we have a guy. I would almost say you play. This might not work, so like I'm just theory crafting and theorizing, but I would play Saka, Odegaard, ESR, and Martinelli, all four of them. Obviously, if ESR is fit. If he's not, then you probably bring on Lacazette or Aubameyang. I would prefer Lacazette, but it's tough because Lacazette had a bad game. And
Are you starting Party? Are you starting that
No.
midfield bit? No.
and then Lakanga.
Okay. We've got that, have we?
I think we did it once against like one, I think Wimbledon, or we did it against some not great team. We just need athleticism. We need pace. We need to run at teams. And
it doesn't matter what we all want. We all believe that fucking definitely Xhaka's going to play though, isn't he? Because he's going to want more minutes, right? What do you reckon? He's going to fucking play him, isn't he? He's in, isn't he? That's a shoehorn, isn't it? Surely.
I don't know. I can't see us playing Xhaka and Partey. I can see us playing one. Like I get the Xhaka thing. Like I get it, and the Partey thing too. It's like like you need to get him match fitness. You need to get him integrated, especially after his interview where he thinks he's a 4 out of 10. Well, he's only gonna get better if he plays. Like I get that, but you can't play our two most unathletic and slow midfielders on the team. It just doesn't make sense because it does what Rowan said. We sit back. And it's funny because when we started our 10-game run, not when we were like in it, but when we started the 10-game run, something the commentator said that I didn't notice. I think it might have been the Burnley game. We played a very high line. That's something we normally don't do. We sit back. The first few games we played, Ben White, Gabrielle were just really pushed up the pitch, and it was something different, and it was working. Yes, we weren't playing our best football, but we were winning games. I just think we need to just risk
against
a little
Southampton,
more.
You're going to stick with that 4-4-1-1. Keep the back four. Did you say maybe Tavares you'd bring in for the left back?
Yeah, I would bring in Tavares. Well, my plan is we should against
Sambi, Lokonga, and Ainsley Maitland-Niles.
Yeah. So
who's a striker?
No, that's what I'm saying. That's why I had the front four. I had ESR, Odegaard, Saka, and Martinelli. They're all rotating. It's sort of like I would sort of have it like a false nine, but it wouldn't really be a false nine. You just have players just rotating around and running. You have in the front four. You have speed, you have pace, and you have guys that just can run for a while. Was it endurance? I don't know. I can't find that word. You have endurance, and you have players on the bench with experience that could come on and use their experience that everyone says is so important in your Lacazette, in your Aubameyang.
You think though, right? Let's say you got your wish, right, and that's exactly how he went with it. Then you're going to leave Lacazette and both Aubameyang out at the same time. And if it doesn't work, is there any way back? Do you go? How do you then go back to that well and go, all right, lads? So yeah, business as usual. Do you know what I mean? It's a kind of a statement, isn't it? If you go with what you've said, and I'm not saying it's wrong because I think it's adventurous, and we're kind of getting into adventurous territory. If it don't work, how do you go back to do you know what I mean? How do you go back?
Well, again, I think this is the mistake Arteta did. We lost against a team that we shouldn't have lost to. Man, you are not a good team. And he decided to just go into surgery and did, a facelift. He put butt implants in, did a tit job too. He just changed too many things. And then when you come out of the surgery, you're like, well, what the fuck? It's Frankenstein, and I said this in the beginning of the show, and I don't know if you were here, Rohan, but Arteta really fucked us in the beginning of the game by playing Tierney, Xhaka, and Lacazette all together. 3 players that cannot play 90 minutes. They just can't do it. So you know what our 3 subs are going to be before the ball even kicks off. You know what the subs are going to be. And it still didn't even happen because Martinelli got hurt. So, I mean, it's something that where if it doesn't work against Southampton, you change maybe 1 or 2 pieces You don't go crazy and change the whole lineup, because then when you look at it, teams can read right through you, and that's another thing. And as much as I applauded El Neni for what he did against Man U, I didn't think he was that bad. Not going to get into that because I know people think otherwise. But if you're Man U and you see El Neni in the starting lineup against Arsenal, I mean, if I'm a Man U player, I'm thinking to myself, oh, fuck. They respect us. They think they're going to sit back. They're not going to run at us. They're a little scared. They're a little scared of us playing El Neni. And yes, you can make the argument El Neni and Partey were phenomenal when we played Man U last year. I get that. But when you're looking at the 11, you're looking before the game kicks off, you're a struggling Man United team that just lost their manager. If I'm Man U, I was like, oh, fuck. They respect us a little bit. They're worried about us, and I think that gave them a little bit of confidence. And I do think the first goal, I don't want to get too much into the Man U game, but the first goal did wake them up a little bit. But you need to have a plan when you put out your starting 11, but you don't want to tell the opponent what you're doing either. It's you kind of want to let the players do the talking for you. But in the last 2 games, our starting 11s did the talking for us, and we just let the teams do what they want. And it's something that I would have thought Mikel would have been better with because he's such a genius. But I don't know.
I'm going to ask the same thing to Rohan, but before I do, I just want to have a big shout out to the chat box. 2.5 hours in. Thank you for sticking with us. Tony Turner, Lone Star Londoner, BX Gunner 81. Rin, Arsenal Fan Circle. Cheers, Ray. A couple of new names that I've seen in your sentiment. FC Love Arsenal, Hate Kronki. New name there. Nordron. I don't think I've seen you in the chat. Thanks for coming in and participating with us. There was another name in there as well. I think his name was Leon. Another new name that I saw. PAPP's in there. Thank you to everyone that's coming in, Renat, and supporting us. And remember as well, on BG Media, we now do have memberships if you want to help out the channel. And there is going to be a rebranding on this channel very soon. And these things do cost a couple of shekels. And at the moment, those shekels are coming out of BG's pocket. Join the membership. Help us out if you can. It's appreciated. But as always, since we've been doing this, we really appreciate all of you regulars that come in with us on a Tuesday night. But we are going to be changing our name soon. And Tanner's back. But I just wanted, before you come back, Tanner, I asked a question to Ryan. And I asked basically that we've, where the fuck do we go from here and what is next? And Ryan told us a little bit about what he would do for the next game in his lineup. And I wanted Rohan to come in with the same thing. So is it what changes are you making for the next match, whether it be a formation and players?
Formation is fine. Players, I think only the central.
You like that 4-4-1-1 kind of formation?
Okay, that's what worked for us. That's what we got. In his whole reign, I have not seen anything better than this. Right, like this is the only time in between that Watford that we won 1-0. We had 3-4 chances. We had that penalty miss, etc. That was the time when we could have. That was the game that I would think that we were playing well. And that's been because of. And he accidentally bumped into that also. It's like how he discovered ESR just out of the blue, injuries coming in against Chelsea, and then he's been a mainstay. That's what has happened. I think changing the personnel will not change anything, because he changed a lot of personnel against Everton, but it was the same story. We went up 1-0 and then we lost. It's the same story that happened twice. With different players. There were a lot of changes in our team. So I don't think that changing the players will dramatically change anything unless he changes his style of not wanting to sit back when we are 1-0 up. If we go 1-0 up, I think what we go 1-0 up, we start really well, and then we go into our shell. We hope that the other team is like shaken up a little bit, and then we try to score another one. Against Leicester we got lucky and we got those 2 goals, and then we sat back the whole game, right? That's what we did. So it doesn't matter who the players are. I would think there needs to be a change in mentality, and that needs to come from Mikel. And if there are people who are not listening to him, if he is waving the team forward but they're not, I mean, it starts from the defense who are not pushing up. If the defense pushes up, the midfield cannot stay back. The strikers can't go behind the defenders. The defenders start pushing up, everybody else starts pushing up. But that's not happening right now, right? So it's the whole mentality of the team. But like before, like I seriously, I think I have to go. But before I do finally go, there's like a couple of things that I want to say.
Ghislaine Maxwell's on the phone.
That
Yeah.
we said about instant gratification and all of that. The first season that I watched was the Invincible season, right? Like, and that I was barely a fan at that point. I was like became a fan during the course of that season, right? Like after that, I've spent years of not seeing us win a trophy, but I was never as dejected as I have been in the last 2-3 years, and that's because we play shit like shit. That's the thing. Like I have defended Wenger tooth and nail because I liked the way that we played. There was expression there. We were the protagonists in the game, and there were villains like Mourinho who would come and steal the game away from us. And as much as you hated that, you liked the spirit of the team. And we played youngsters. We played players who not just costed less, who had less ability. Your Javinios, your your Danielsons, your Andre Santos of the world. We played with these sort of players, and we played much more attractive football. And that's the soul that has gone missing out of the Arsenal, and that is what makes me rant so much, right? Like I spend so much time watching the Arsenal. I take up a job which lets me work remotely. I block my calendar to watch the game. Today I wasn't supposed to come in because I have an exam day after tomorrow, but I just can't stay away because it's such a big part of my life. I plan my things around this game. I for my birthday I want to go to London to watch what? To watch this drab of a team who doesn't give anything in return. Right? That's the problem. So it's not that I am chasing for glory and I want a premiership. It would be great, but the start has to be us playing some beautiful football, right? Which we are not doing. That's just one, right? The second is whether it is Arteta's tactics of being negative, or whether it's the players not listening to him when he's saying that you have to go ahead. But if that happens week after week, he's not up to the mark, right? Because it's his job. It's not kindergarten where he can just come up with excuses that this person is not listening to me. That's not why he's paid millions of dollars, right? He's got to make the team click. Otherwise, he has to go. This is not the time of Manchester United and Alex Ferguson when he came in, when there were only 1 or 2 top dogs, right? Now you've got 6, 7, 8 teams who are backed by wealthy people. They have all surpassed us, and there's no time for us to give others just chances to hone their skills so that maybe someday they're going to be better than what they are today. It's just not possible. I've seen the 10-game run. I told you the 10-game run that we had. It wasn't all luck, but a lot of times the Norwich 1-0, the Burnley 1-0, these were times where those teams were just so bad that they just weren't going to score. We were lucky to score that one goal with that free kick against Burnley. Watford was one performance where we should have had more goals, but we had less. Leicester, they just started off so poorly that we got 2 there. Apart from that, Brighton, Crystal Palace stole a win there. We shouldn't have had 10 games unbeaten. And then in the last 4, what have we done? We've lost 3 of them. We won against Newcastle. How? Because Saka had that 12-minute spell where he just went absolutely mad. And he scored the first one. And, just after Martinelli came in, except for that 12-15 minutes, did we play anything against Newcastle? Newcastle were bottom of the league. They just won their first game this weekend in the whole season. That's what our 10 games are built on. So we will win games. I don't think that we are going to, I genuinely believe that we will win against Southampton. That's what my heart says, that I'm going to go and win against Southampton. And after that, we probably lose against West Ham. We may win or draw against Norwich. This team will win some days, will lose some days, but it will never be consistent. That is one thing that I have told myself. Under Mikel Arteta, it cannot be successful because it will not be consistent. We will have that score of 50, 55, 58 points, which will just get us nowhere, right? That's the problem. And lastly, Lampard, Gerrard, those guys are bona fide legends of the game, right? Mikel Arteta, in all honesty, is a nobody in the game. Like he's played for Arsenal in the worst years, right? What sort of respect can he command? He wasn't exceptional. He's not won much with us. It's all abysmal. And the problem is if the real culprits, that's our board, who double down on their decision of, now I've made this decision, so I have to come good till the time that it's so bad that we are in a relegation fight come April, and that's when they make the change. But we shouldn't have to face that. And it's just disheartening how much it just takes away from me and just disturbs me so much, right? And all the ranting that stop whining, etc., that's been said in the chat box today, etc. I mean, I think I'm entitled to it for how much I give to this club from my side, right? I'm entitled to whine. That's it.
Yeah, I think I get Stan. Your question was, so what now? I'll try to answer real quick. Rowan, do you want to duck out? Do you want to say your goodbyes now, and then we'll all hit our.
I'm just gonna say goodbye, guys. Yeah, hopefully we win against Southampton. I'm going to be watching the game, obviously. Next Tuesday, I don't know if next Tuesday I have an exam. So let's see.
Okay.
I'll try. I might try to cram it and just finish it.
No.
Who knows?
Priorities, man. Priorities.
Yeah, I know.
We can't control this, but you can control the. You can control your exam, and you do what you need to do. You keep us posted, and we'll keep the seat warm for you if you can't make it. So, all
thanks
good.
to you guys. It was really great just listening to you guys from the outside as well, and being part of the chat group. Whatever they say, it's it's family. It's almost family, right? We are with each other. These guys listen to us for 2 hours 47 minutes. That's more than so they're entitled to throw a couple of names at us. That's
yeah, for sure.
All
right. Thanks, Rowan. See you, buddy.
Take care.
Your question was what now, and I'll try to make it as quick as possible. But I think granted Xhaka can't start. Thomas Partey has to be dropped. So I think that naturally means that Lokonga and AMN come into the midfield. Who is the more defensive of those two? Because I don't think you can drop Odegaard right now. He's starting to come into form, right? I would start Tierney at left back. I think eventually Tavares is going to get found out, and I think right now he just takes too many chances, and we need a win. So I think that Kieran Tierney is just more responsible all over the pitch than Nuno Tavares is. So I start Tierney at left back. Maitland-Niles and Sammy Lokonga come in midfield. I'm going to rely on their athleticism. Odegaard starts I guess you would say that he's the other midfielder if it's a 4-3-3. I'm going to start Aubameyang through the middle. I am going to start. What do we hear on ESR? Is he?
Groin,
I
isn't
know
it?
it's a groin. I know it's a groin, and those are tricky, man. Those are real tricky. So, Ryan, are you hearing anything? Is he training?
No, I haven't heard anything. I know. I know he's training. I don't know how hard he's
Well,
training.
then I guess let's say this. Then let's assume that he's not playing. So I'm going to go Aubameyang through the middle, Bukayo Saka on the right, Gabriel Martinelli. Oh, actually, no, I'm going to flip them. I'm going to go Bukayo Saka on the left, Gabriel Martinelli on the right. I'm going to put.
Is that what you think or what you want when you say Aubameyang?
I mean, this is what I would do.
Okay.
If I were the coach, this would be my lineup. I'd play Aubameyang. I at this point, I just think he's the best of a bad bunch. And the way that we need to play, in my opinion, to score goals is we need someone to run. We need someone to make runs. Lacazette's not that guy. Lacazette's the hold-up player that's going to bring players in and almost sort of try to create on his own as well. I just think we need to run. And I put Saka on the left because he and Tierney have worked well on that side together before. And there's something about Martinelli seems to bring a little bit more when he's on the right. I shouldn't say bring more. That makes it sound like he's not bringing it when he's on the left. He just seems to play a little bit better, and he's a little scarier on the right for some reason. I know he's right-footed, so it creates an awkward angle for him. But he's looked much more dangerous to me on the right than he has on the left. And let's face it, if he's on the left, you know what he's going to do, right? He's going to cut back into the middle on his right foot. So again, it becomes easy to defend because that's what they all do. So I put him on the right. I put Saka on the left. I go back to, as Ryan has so eloquently put it in the past, the pinwheel of death, and just create chaos and just let these four guys, I'm going to throw Odegaard in there. Just let them go nuts, man. Just handbrake off. And I don't defend. Again, I've said it before. Defensively, you need structure. In attack, you want chaos. And again, this is Stan, the musical reference, the musical comparison was fucking brilliant. It really was, because it is Mikel Arteta is this. It's very orchestral. It's you play what's in front of you. It's not improvisational jazz. It's not Jimi Hendrix riffing. It's none of that. It's none of that. And that's what they need. I'm going in saying, just play, fellas. Just play. Go out there and win. Go out there and win a football match. That's what you do. You go out there, you win a football match. Let the youth shine through. And he's tried so hard to overcoach them. Just let them learn on their own. Let them crash and burn on their own, and they'll figure it out. But when they crash and burn because of what you're telling them to do, like it goes back to stand back to your question about do I think maybe they don't respect him? How can you respect a guy that you play for where you don't score any goals? And you're doing, for the most part, what he's telling you to do. So how do you respect a guy that you look at and you go, but your system just doesn't, we don't create with your system. Because he wants to play possession football. I don't give a fuck about possession. I don't give a shit what that number is. I don't give a fuck what expected goals are. All I care about are the fucking goals. That's it. So my lineup, I gave you my lineup. Aubameyang, best of a bad bunch. Balogun, not ready. I don't, again, it's as simple as Aubameyang, best of a bad bunch. I would love to give Balogun a run. It's not going to happen. I might be, I don't know. I might talk myself into changing my mind on that and give him a chance. But I saw what he did, against Brentford, and so yeah. What I think he'll do, I think he'll go back to Tavares, because we've had we've had nearly a week off. I think Tavares goes back in at left back. I think Granit Xhaka and Thomas Partey stay in the lineup. I don't think he changes that. I think Aubameyang will go straight back into the lineup. I think he keeps Odegaard, and I think he goes Martinelli and Saka. I don't think he changes much from Everton, if I'm being honest. I think I heard you say Lokonga and AMN in midfield, Ryan.
Yeah, but it's funny. I saw Why Not's comment of his 4-3-3. I kind of like his idea too, but his is further back up. But he has Tierney instead of Nuno Tavares. His midfield three is AMN, El Neni, and Lokonga, which I don't hate. If El Neni's sitting a little further back, and then your front three. Actually, I don't remember what his front three was. But the front three, I think he had Lacazette, Martinelli, and Saka, which I don't hate that either. I agree with what you're saying. We need structure in defense, which is what we have, and we need chaos in the attack. And I think the best way I can describe it is he's the socially awkward kid at a party. Like, he knows what to do, but then when he's in the actual situation, like of scoring, he's like, my name. But then like when the situation passes, he's like
10:37. I told her what time it was.
Yeah, exactly. And it kind of when you guys are all talking about the whole, if they don't listen to him, they shouldn't play. I think he's so busy micromanaging 11 players on the field. If one player, I mean, yes, I think it's most players are not listening to him, but if a couple players aren't listening to him, I don't even think he fucking notices. Because he literally, I feel like he thinks he's playing FIFA, and he's controlling the players, and he wants them to do what he wants to do, which it's not good. Defensively, I get that to an extent, but we need chaos in the attack.
Ryan, right? And I agree with you. But I had an opportunity to ask Kevin Campbell about that very thing when I was speaking with him.
Oh, yeah,
is it a problem? The shouting, and he basically said, not at all. It's normal. It's a storminity. He basically said like that's not. To me it looks. All I can see is what my eyes see, and he seems to be doing it. More of the game than other managers do. But apparently, to a guy that's played the game, he says it's not a problem. So, I mean, do you know what I mean? But I agree with you. I think it's distracting, and especially when there were no crowds in the stadiums through COVID. You couldn't pretend you could not hear him. Sorry, boss, I can't hear the crowd. You had to fucking pay attention. But apparently, to a footballer that's played the game and professionally, he says that it's not an issue. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I'm so almost over it with this club. I'm dropping my water bottle cap on the floor, and yeah. So I think that's going to be it, guys. We're pushing 3 hours here. It's a good place to knock off on. And Ryan, I know you have to get up early. It's a little earlier in the night for you, Stan, but yeah, I think it's time to go jet out of here. It's been good footy talk, and thank you to everybody in the chat. No new members tonight, unfortunately, to shout out, but we'll keep trying. Bottom line, we did see some new faces or new names in there, but yeah, thanks for sticking with us for 3 hours, guys. It's been fun, and just so everybody knows, I mean, we're all friends here. We all get along, and we all want the same thing at the end of the day. The disagreements and the heated debates and the yelling back and forth and the cursing, and of course, if we call you out in the comments because we think you said something silly, it's all banter, and I just want to make sure that no one, I know you guys don't. I know we're all good, but just everybody in the chat, just know if we ever call you out for something, it's not that we don't like you, and quite frankly, if we didn't like you, we would probably just ignore you. So, yeah, that's about all I have to say. The rebrand will be coming. Thank you to everyone that watched. Please consider becoming a member. Like Stan said earlier, a lot of the things that go into this, it's not free to do. And I'm not asking you guys to give us all the money to be able to do it. But hey, it would be nice to make a little something off of this, or basically put it right back into what we're doing. So, but certainly don't want to turn anybody away either. So, have a few other ideas that we're going to kick around for membership perks. In fact, I'm going to talk to these guys straight after we go off the air about one of the ideas that I think you guys will all appreciate. So, and it'll be a good enticement, I think, for everybody to become a member. So stay tuned for that. Check out the sponsors in the description below: Pack Leashes and ZEUS Beard if you have a mane like mine. And I think that's it. We moved to Southampton, and Ryan and I probably coming back at you Thursday or Friday with a Beards and Cannons show. We'll probably just look more into the Southampton match, preview that a little bit. I have to look at scheduling for pre and post game on Saturday. Post game should be a go. I got to check on post or pre-game. So that's, I believe that is it. My many thanks, as always, to my co-hosts, Ryan, Stan. Thank you both very much. Obviously, Glenn and Rowan, certainly, for coming in and playing their part. So, guys, that is all we've got for you. We'll see you later in the week. It's been good footy talk. We'll see you out there.